180 minutes. Okay, let's hope I have the stamina for that. Anyway, so I did, as voted on by 25 people, we're gonna play Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy, which is really exciting for me. I've always wanted to stream an Ace Attorney game, and I'm really happy that they're releasing remasters. Okay. And I have Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, which I will be playing in a couple days too. No, this music's a little too loud. Okay, I'm gonna play the first game. Ooh. My anticipation is high. I'm excited that I'm kind of like shaking. Episode 1, Turnabout Trump. Okay. An artist. Handle blown out. Playing cards? Or are those tarot cards? Showdown time. Playing cards. Okay. You lose. Oh! Hi, Mytho!
Genesis just subscribed. Genesis just
Thank
wow.
you for the resubscription.
Wow.
13 months is so long. Oh my god, look. We have a murder on our hands. I seem to be in a bit of trouble. Something like that. Dead. Someone hit him. Hard. Me? Please. The cop should be here any minute. I'm in your hands. Should it come to that. What if that's a Phoenix Wright? April 20th, 9:37 a.m. District Court. Defendant lobby number 3. Panicked. Palms sweaty. I can admit it. I'm nervous. Good morning! Good morning, sir! You look tense, Justice. Wound up tight. Wound up, sir? No, I'm loose! I'm fine! That screeching noise. Is that your voice? I suppose it's to be expected. Your first trial and it's a homicide. I guess justice doesn't start small, eh? I'm fine! I got up at 5 a.m. to do my Chords of Steel voice workouts! I'm fine! That explains it. I did detect a certain rasping quality to your screech. I overdid it again. As you know, your client today is a good friend of mine. I wouldn't want to let him down, if you get my drift. Drift gun, sir! I'm all over that drift! As it happens, I dined with him the night of the murder. We can't let this case fall through. Yes, I'm fine, sir! One more thing. Don't say you're fine quite so much. People might take you the wrong way. I'll be preparing our case. You might want to introduce yourself to the client. My name is Apollo Justice. If it isn't clear already, I'm a new attorney. And today is my first trial. Not that I'm worried or anything. The defendant has been accused of murder. My boss wants to help him out, of course. And so do I. I mean, there's no way he did it. Not him. No way. Is it Phoenix Wright? Who is that? Whoa! Good morning. Morning. It's all up to you today. First trial. Nervous. Meeting him. Cardiac arrest. I think I'm supposed to say something. Help? So you're... Fine! I'm fine! Mr. Fine, is it? I did remember you having an odd name. Well, we're off to a great start. Are you sure you're okay? I mean, with me? Mr. Gavin is a top-notch defense attorney, and he's your friend. Why? You'll see. Huh? You can do it. Be confident. I'm really sorry this happened to you. It's time, shall we? Yes, sir! Okay, I need to focus. First trial, here comes justice! Is it gonna be Tutorial Man? April 20th, 10 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 2. Yep, there he is! The court is now in session.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor.
The defense is, fine! Ready, Your Honor. Mind going blank. Don't panic. Too late. Your name was Mr. Justice? And this is your first trial? Yes, Your Honor. But I'm fine, really. Are you quite sure? Your voice sounds a bit strained. Ahem. Mr. Gavin? Yes, Your Honor. I was under the impression that you would be heading up this case. That was my intention, yes. However, a defense attorney must always concede to his client's wishes, and my client specifically requested Mr. Justice. Well, of course he wants justice, but to entrust his case to this greenhorn, why? I do not exaggerate when I say that you're the best defense attorney in town, Mr. Gavin. Okay, so Gavin's got trial experience, fine, but does he have cords of steel? Then let's begin. The defendant may enter the courtroom. Oh yeah! Oh, this is so great. I haven't played an Ace Attorney game in so long. This is truly an unfortunate turn of events. I'm sorry we had to meet again under these circumstances. No! That is Phoenix Wright! Oh, he got accused of murder again! How upsetting for him. Oh, and I guess he's quit. Mr. Right was Mr. Wrong. How sad. It's unfortunate for him. He keeps getting accused of murder. And I guess he's no longer a defense attorney? Long time no see, Mr. Wright. Let's put the past behind us, shall we? These days, I'm merely Phoenix Wright, piano player. Oh, he's a piano player. Oh. Mr. Wright, how could this have happened? I won't speak of it further then. If the prosecution would be so kind as to explain the charges, Mr. Payne?
To think, I saw you enter this room a fresh attorney, and now I'll see you leave in chains.
Winston Payne. Subtle as ever, I see.
Ahem. The crime occurred at the Borscht Bull Club, a Russian restaurant. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, took the victim, a customer, and he hit him. Wham! On the head. Smack! Killed him cold.
A customer at the restaurant, you say? And the defendant, you say he was...
The pianist for the club, it seems.
Phoenix Wright, a pianist?
This is the weapon that took the victim's life, a bottle of grape juice.
A classic bottle of grape juice. No one drinks wine in this universe. They drink grape juice.
Grape juice is apparently our defendant's drink of choice.
The court accepts the deadly bottle as evidence. Deadly bottle added to the court record. Grape juice bottle used as a murder weapon. Bears defendant Mr. Wright's prints. Something to note, Justice. All evidence is filed in the court record. Make a practice of checking it frequently. The court record. Right! I've heard of that! Use R to look at the evidence so far. Attorney's badge. How long did I yearn for one of these? Just putting it on makes me feel ready. Smith's autopsy report. The time of death was around 2 a.m. April 17th. Death caused by single blow to forehead. Crime photo. Interesting. He got hit over the head with that bottle of grape juice. What is he, a mobster? Yakuza? Then there's the playing cards and the casino chips. Oh wait, I didn't even look at the grape juice. I can examine it. No clues here. Oh, there's something there. The bottle was completely empty. Was there any grape juice in this bottle? It looks pristine. I'm confident in your ability to handle this. Right, just use R. Sounds like it's time for some hands-on action. So the victim was a customer at this restaurant. I'm having a lot of trouble because these are all presumably deep voices besides Winston Payne. And I don't have, what's it called? I don't have like the range for that. Please, give me a woman. Hexafluorine gas? What's that? The victim was a customer at this restaurant. But just who was this, Jody Smith felt? Oh, it'll make your voice deeper? Oh. I definitely need some of that then. Like the opposite of helium. That's interesting. I've learned something new today. Look at this man. May cause brain damage though. That reminds me when I was in middle school. I think it was 6th grade. We had what's it called? I forget what it's called. Blue cement. And it would always be on the tables that we would sit at, and I thought it smelled so good, and I kept sniffing it, and the teacher, she called me out. She was like, "You better be careful, you're gonna get brain damage." I might have damaged my brain from smelling that delicious. It's not called blue cement. Forget what it's called. But just who was this Jody Smith fellow?
I believe he was a traveler, Your Honor.
A traveler?
According to his passport, he had been out of the country for a number of years. He had only returned to this country recently, though his place of residence is unclear.
And he had some sort of a connection with the defendant?
That too is unclear at present, Your Honor. We believe they first met at the Borscht Bowl Club on the night of the crime.
If they had only just met, then why murder? Perhaps the victim slighted the defendant's piano playing?
That doesn't appear to have been the case. No, the motive had nothing to do with the defendant's lack of playing skill. At least not piano playing. I'll let this photo explain what I mean. As we can see, a game of poker was in progress at the scene of the crime.
Wait a second. Isn't poker gambling? That's a crime in and of itself! You can't be gambling!
Indeed, it appears our defendant has fallen to become the basest sort of criminal.
Objection! It is true that the defendant was engaged in a game of poker with the victim. Yet it was only that. A game, in the purest sense. A competition, Your Honor.
A competition?
Yes, a test of wits. A silent clash of passions. Only the cards, their backs wreathed, and blue flame know its final outcome. Come again?
The cards on the table had blue backs, Your Honor. I believe the defense was waxing poetic in an attempt to mystify those present and impress women.
Oh yeah, he's definitely in court trying to impress the jury, I guess. The audience? That will be our first order of business here then, to find out more about this fatal game of cards. Very well, defendant. You will testify to the court about the poker competition held the night of the crime. My pleasure. This is it! My first trial! Here goes nothing! The competition. I'm a pianist by trade, yet I can hardly play at all. My real job is to take on interested customers over at the poker table. The room where we play in the competition in there are the club's main attractions. The rules are simple. We play a game of poker using 2 decks of cards. That's all it is. A game. And our customers are happy.
A pianist who can't play piano? Better than a defense attorney who can't defend.
Very well. The defense may begin the cross-examination. Right, Your Honor! My first cross-examination! Don't blow it! Are you alright? You're sweating bullets. Bullets? Where? It's a figure of speech, Justice. Your voice sounds strained and raspy, too. My brain feels strained and raspy, sir! You've watched me perform cross-examinations many times, but you've never done one yourself, have you? Care for a refresher?
What to do?
Should I ask Mr. Gavin for a refresher course in cross-examination?
No thanks, I got this.
No need for help here, sir. I think I've got this one covered. I think you'd better do more than think. You know it or you do not. I'm fine. The cords of steel are ready for battle. My weapons. Press and present. Find any inconsistencies, any lies in the testimony, and reveal them to the court. That is cross-examination. Learn it. Know it. Do it. Inconsistencies? Lies? Phoenix right? As if! Phoenix Wright would never lie, and it's up to me to prove it! The defense may begin the cross-examination. It's time. Damn, the bots are coming out of the woodwork today. Okay, let's press. Hold it! You can hardly play. Oh, I play sometimes, when customers demand it. So I play them one song. That's usually all they want. The chopsticks? Was that supposed to be a boast just now? The title of pianist is a mask, a respectable face I wear for the world at large. But why are you really at the Borscht Bowl Club? That one's really hard for me to say. I sold your Twitch channel ID to a bunch of data brokers. Oh no! What a disaster that is. I guess I'm just doomed. But that's okay because I'm playing Ace Attorney. They pay you just to play poker. That would seem to be the case. I am a professional after all.
Bah! Do I detect pride in that statement? It's just hard for an honest, hard-working member of society like me to imagine.
They promised me they'd only send a bot every 30 seconds. Well, that's really kind of you. I like it when people who sell my data to data brokers are considerate. That's a whole 29 seconds that your viewers can still chat with. Like I said, considerate. Yes, your imagination was always a bit limited, Winston.
What?
I've played poker for 7 years in that little room, and I've never lost once. Oh, it's because you see, Phoenix Wright, he was given this, I forget what it's called. This talisman, not a talisman. He was given something that has, like, magical power in it, so he's able to see through people's lies. So that's probably why he hasn't ever lost at poker, because he has this magic with him. What? You see why the customers come now? Defeat the undefeated poker champion. Quite a draw. So he's cheating at life. Life cheater. Absolutely. He's no longer an honest man. That's why he's in some bar challenging people to poker. That is, I'm quite a draw. Wait, you've never lost once? Not even one time? The Nancy Pelosi of others' thoughts? True. As I said, I'm a professional. He's played poker for 7 years and not lost once. Is that even possible? Evidently it's possible. In this video game. The room in the crime scene photo is an attraction? That's quite a history, actually. The Borscht Bowl Club used to be a gathering spot for black market types back in the day. Black market? All in the past. Things like the black market are only on the silver screen nowadays. Suffice it to say that there were a lot of deals being made under the table. Right there in that room. Imagine he meant that literally, and there were people who gathered under the table just to do little backroom deals. But those people would have to be children. Smoky room, gambling hoods. You know, just looking at this picture makes me feel bad. Quote unquote bad. The bosses gather around the table cutting deals, safe from the eyes of the law. Meanwhile, a goon keeps watch through the small window. I can practically picture it now. That window does look like it would be good for keeping a lookout, but little else. You know, I didn't even notice that window. Insider trader of thought. The room had a few other tricks to it. What a tiny window. If they hadn't pointed out the window, I wouldn't have noticed it. Though it was common knowledge to our regulars. At any rate, they come to play poker in a room steeped in history. Despite the dark past, it was all just good, clean fun. Two decks of cards. It looks like there was only one deck of cards, though. Okay, press. Two decks of cards? A simple measure to prevent cheating. Oh, but you're cheating, dude. Come on. He said it's a simple measure to prevent cheating, but he's the one cheating. If you alternate two decks, no one can slip in cards. There's something else I noticed. In addition to the cards on the table, there are some lying scattered on the floor. Oh, Your Honor! How observant of you. Precisely. Cards on the table, cards upon the floor, each one forming a complete deck. A crime scene painted blue by a sad sweep of cards. It's poetic, really. Incidentally, we use two types of cards at the club. One deck of cards was red, the other blue. As I recall, in poker you make 5 card hands. I can see how it would be easy to cheat. Yes, a game of hands. Huh? This competition you're talking about. I believe the court understands the nature of the game sufficiently. That's right! It was a simple game after all! Are you sure? Huh? It was a deadly game of cards. People are not murdered over simple games, Mr. Justice. Defendant, you were in the room the very moment that the crime occurred. Yet you claim no connection to the crime? No, that's strange. What's strange? I was testifying about the competition that night. Asking me about the crime at this point is against the rules, Your Honor. Of course, I expected to hear a cry of OBJECTION from the defense.
Igiwari!
I completely let that one slip by. Don't despair yet, Justice. Sir! Right. There's something I'd like made clear. Namely, your connection to the case at hand. And I'd like to hear it from you. Sure, why not? Very well. The defendant will amend his testimony. God! I'm having such a difficult time with these voices. They all sound the same. One little press, and I've got myself a whole new testimony. I plead silence regarding the murder, but I will say I never touched the murder weapon. Silence! The defendant has the right to refuse to testify. Is that a right in Japan? Or is this Japanifornia? I'm pretty sure the judge sounds like Little Annie. I actually don't know how Little Annie sounds. But I imagine it's at least a child's voice. I haven't forgotten everything about the law. Yeah? Okay. I already give Winston Payne the shrill voice, but that's because in the first game, you hear him say objection a lot, and he has a objection! He sounds like that, actually. That clearly puts you at a disadvantage. And it's your job to turn that around in our favor, yes? Great. Like I didn't have enough to do already. I hate my job already. I don't want to be a lawyer no more. Justice, didn't you detect anything odd about that testimony? Huh? Wait, I think he said did ring a little strangely. Just one thing. Now what was it? When you figure it out, I suggest presenting evidence. Evidence that contradicts the testimony. A contradiction in Mr. Wright's testimony? But why? I'd better check the court record. I can't imagine Mr. Wright lying in a testimony. Isn't it a little early to be jumping to conclusions? This is your first cross-examination. Take it slow. If you need more information, don't forget to press. Right, I got it. I'm fine. Time to listen to that testimony again. Wait. This, actually. X is present.
Objection!
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 So you say you didn't touch the murder weapon. This grape juice bottle? Right? So I said. Something the matter, Mr. Justice?
Hee. My beautiful long locks of hair. Too bad our new defense attorney never learned how to play dumb.
What's this, Mr. Payne?
I examined the bottle in question, you see, and it was covered with the defendant's fingerprints. I have those swirls memorized!
Objection! No need to shout, Mr. Justice. I can hear you just fine.
Oh, shucks.
Excess yelling can damage the judge's ears. In our case.
But what about my cords of steel?
Anyway, what's so strange about fingerprints on a bottle in a restaurant? Well, that's true. The prints alone Objection! You see? He did it. He said it. The thing. Objection. In his shrill fucking voice, he screeched.
Ow! They wouldn't prove a thing if they were normal fingerprints.
Huh? Gonna grab a bite to eat?
Okay, have a good bite to eat. But the fingerprints on the murder weapon were upside down!
Upside down? What does that mean?
It means he was holding the bottle inverted, and there can only be one reason for that. He was shaking it. It said, shake well before opening. Yes, to bring someone with the bottle. Ah!
Mr. Gavin, I think things just took a turn for the worse. Oh? I see no problem, Justice. Huh? The only thing that matters is the truth. There's a good reason for everything. You'll see. Defendant, can you explain your fingerprints on this bottle to the court? I stand by my plea of silence regarding the murder. For now. Not very cooperative, are you? This could hurt your case.
I'm sure he's uncooperative because he's hiding something. There must be some reason.
Your Honor, you seem to have forgotten something. And what might that be, Mr. Gavin? On the night of the crime, who was it who reported the murder to the police? Reported?
Well, that was the defendant, Mr. Wright. But still, that's...
Really?
Yes, well, according to the case file, the murder was reported from near the scene by a call from the defendant's cell phone.
Near the scene?
Let's take a look at a diagram of the murder scene, shall we? I'm withholding evidence. The victim was murdered in a small room in a basement 2 floors down from ground level. Of course, cell phones can't get reception so far down. The defendant used the stairs in this hallway to go above the ground. The call came from the first floor of the restaurant.
I see. And this is the phone that made the call?
Wright's cell phone, used by the defendant to notify the police from the restaurant's first floor.
The defendant could have just fled the scene of the crime if he so chose. Yet, he fulfilled his duty as a citizen and reported it to the authorities.
Thank you for the lurk.
And you claim he is being uncooperative? My safe, Mr. Gavin! I better not waste this! I think the prosecution has toyed with our client enough for the time being.
Toyed? I assure you, no one was more serious about...
What was it you said? The defendant was in the room the very moment that the crime occurred. How can you possibly know this? That's a good question. How indeed? The answer is simple, Your Honor. The prosecution has a decisive witness.
You're as good as they say you are.
So someone else was in the room the night of the crime. That must mean they witnessed the crime. Everything up till now has been a warm-up, Justice. Are you ready? Put on those big boy pants. Very well. The prosecution may call its first witness to the stand. Why did I say it like this?
Oh, finally! The witness will state her name and profession.
Hold on just a moment. Where's the witness?
I surmise that she has been frightened by the defense's demonic-looking horns.
So I used a little hair gel. Relax, people. Have no fear. If any horns point in your direction, this court will cut them off.
You are sure?
I swear it on my gavel. Please come out. She is Russian. And I don't know how to do a Russian accent. So she gets a regular American one. Isn't violence against hair a crime, Your Honor? Well, if you are sure it is okay. Why did I start talking in an accent? Now, the prosecution. Wait a minute. Would the prosecution care to explain the witness's, paraphernalia?
Yes. She is a professional, Your Honor. Those are merely the tools of her trade.
And that would be...
My name is Olga Orley. I am employed as waitress in Borscht Bowl Club restaurant.
Then why the camera?
Of course, it is my pride to serve borscht that is naming restaurant. But I also perform, how it is said, other service.
This game is forcing me to put on an accent that I cannot do. I take it one of these other services is taking the customer's pictures? Like for example, this one. That's the defendant?
Indeed, on the night of the murder.
Man in white hat is one who has gone kaput. People are allowed to just bring their work into the courtroom, no problem. Absolutely, they're allowed to bring anything they want to the courtroom. They can bring sushi, they can bring their diary, they can bring their pets, they can bring a parrot, in particular, a parrot. Just about anything. And that's truly quality, honestly. Man in white hat is one who has gone kaput. Indeed, that is the victim. The parent was a witness herself. She was. Order! Order! This is quite a piece of evidence to casually drop into our laps. It is same way as I drop cold bowls of borscht on laps of customers casually. Okay, look. I know it's on this tense music, but I sincerely need to hear a Russian accent. This is gonna drive me up the wall. It is same way as I drop full bowls of borscht on laps of customers casually. Okay, are we ready? Are Russian.
Та є самі way as I drop cold balls of borscht on laps of customers casually.
Casually.
Та є самі way as I drop cold balls of borscht on laps of customers casually.
I can't do that. I need practice. Then the court will casually accept this new evidence. Olga's photo added to the court record. Borscht.
Now, witness, where were you at the time of the murder?
I was in room. The hideout, we call it. That's not correct. Borscht. I can do French. I cannot do Spanish, but I do Spanish anyway. But Russian, it's too difficult. Even a Brazilian accent is easier than that. Excuse me, the hideout? It is room where famous gangster bad guy was arrested. It's room where murder take place.
What?
Your look of utter surprise. It is lovely. I will post my courtroom door later for you. Da. Photos will be numbered and you will write which one you want copy of. So there were 3 people in the room at the time of the crime. The victim, Shoddy Smith, Mr. Wright, and Olga Orley, our witness. What is this? This is supposed to be a pun. Olga Orley. Olgorley. I don't know what it's supposed to. Maybe it's a different sort of pun. Maybe it's not a pronunciation pun, but a spelling pun. And I just don't understand it. Woo! Hi! Thank you for the raid. Welcome Raiders, I'm Melody Wisp, an asexual, romantic, agender, trans, non-binary, neuroqueer, multiply disabled, and neurodivergent Puerto Rican variety streamer. I'm also an accessibility provider and use stenography to write closed and open captions for fellow disabled people. If you want to learn more about steno or accessibility, please ask. It's one of my special interests. Woo! Now that feels over. Hello! How you doing, CRTV head? How was your stream? I'm currently in the middle of the very, very first case in Apollo Justice. And they have hit me with an accent I cannot do, which is Russian. Chill but good? That's great! This music is very intense, and I've been letting people suffer through it. I see that. Duh. Just say duh a lot. She is saying that a lot, actually. The sentences are deeply accented, which is making me slip into an accent that does not exist. And if Mr. Wright is the killer, that means... Very well. Witness, you will testify to the court about that night's events. Oh boy. That fateful night. That night, customer asked me to deal cards for game. It was cold. Both players played with hats on. Duh. There she goes. The victim, he played whole time with his hand on locket at his neck. Then last hand is done. I'm gonna try my best to not slip into an accent. And it's going to sound terrible, but it is what it is.
But something terrible has happened. Da! That man flew at victim and is strangling him to death.
Incidentally, who won the game?
Isn't it obvious? The winner was the victim, Mr. Smith.
No. He did not win against Phoenix Wright. If he did, he cheated too. They were both cheating at each other.
Objection! Objection!
That's ridiculous. Because Mr. Wright can't lose. Justice? Maybe you can come up with a more legitimate objection? But he hadn't lost in 7 years.
Take it from me, kid. I didn't lose a case my first 7 years as prosecutor either. Incidentally, I have some evidence here. These are the poker chips as they lay the very moment of the crime. Objection! The hand and chips on this side belong to the defendant, Mr. Wright.
I lost it. I lost Winston Payne's voice.
Those on the far side belong to the victim, Mr. Smith.
Chips, you say?
Yes! Imagine that poker is war. Your hand is your army, and the chips are the spoils.
I know that. After all, in my youth, I was known as the poker head of courtroom number 3. I think he means poker face. Looking at this picture, it does seem that most of the chips are on the victim's side of the table. Yeah, but are those just because it's more chips doesn't necessarily mean that the value is more. I don't know what gray signifies, but I have a feeling. Chips photo added to the court record. Defendant and victim's chips when crime took place. Very well. The defendant may cross-examine the witness. Okay.
That night, customer asked me to deal cards for game.
Hold it! Hold it!
You were dealing cards. Do you do this often?
I am doing this. If customer wishes it, I serve anything. Borscht, cards, more borscht. It is my work.
It's good to hear of a place that hasn't forgotten the meaning of service.
Welcome you to Borscht Ball Club, where borscht is as warm as the waitresses.
Thank you for not handing out flyers during the cross-examination.
It was cold. Both players played with hats on.
Hold it!
Why would they?
Hold it!
It's already April. How could it be cold?
At Borscht Ball Club, we have pride on authentic, rustic, Russian restaurant theme. Outside, it is city and spring, but inside it is always as cold as Mother Russia.
No way am I going there.
When it comes to hot borscht, cold is best seasoning, da? The victim, he plays whole time with his hand on locket at his neck.
Hold it! Hold it!
His locket? I've got to go there? Yep.
I believe it was good luck charm, da? He gripped it many times as he played that night.
Wait, what'd she say?
He had a locket. He plays hold time with his hand on locket at his neck.
Oh! Oh, so it is possible he did win. It is incredibly possible. Because he also had one of those things from the first game that let Phoenix Wright, what's the first game? The second game that let Phoenix Wright, see through people's lies. That's interesting.
He gripped it many times as he played that night.
Yes, he must have felt as though it might carry him to the moon and the stars. Presumptuous. Though if it were small enough to fit around his neck, it wouldn't have much lift. The defense would like a clarification. This is a locket we're talking about? I mean, a pendant with a picture in it, right? Not a rocket? Of course! I knew that! It was probably a pendant shaped like a rocket! That's why she called it that. No, a locket's a locket! It doesn't matter what— It's considered bad form to poke fun at the hard of hearing in our society. Hard of hearing or hard of understanding?
So what happened next? Then the last hand is done, but something terrible has happened, Doc.
Hold it! Hold it!
Something terrible? The defense will refrain from needless shouting. Sorry. I need to seriously reconsider this vocal training thing.
Now, Miss Orley, can you tell us what happened? Oh, I was so frightened. I trembled with fear. That man flew a victim and is strangling him to death.
Hold it! Hold it!
But the defendant would never do such a thing. Well now, I can't say I've ever heard the defense try this tactic. If possible, please refrain from embarrassing me. Still, why would anyone do something like this over a game of poker?
Perhaps it is because defendant has lost game? Yes, a crashing defeat for a man undefeated. So it always is with men like him. Winners make sore losers. Oh, how the mighty fall.
Go ahead, I believe you know what it is you need to do. Right, sir! Leave it to me! There were only 3 people in the room at the time of the murder. The victim, Shoddy Smith, Mr. Wright, and if Mr. Wright isn't the killer, I've got you now, Orley. Okay, that night, customer asked me to deal cards for game. With their hats on? Okay, they do have hats on. There's only 1 deck of cards, though. He plays whole time with his hand on locket at his neck. There's no locket here. But there's a locket there. It looks the same. Is it this?
Objection!
No, it wasn't.
Objection!
The witness's statement is clearly faulty, Your Honor. Okay, see nothing faulty. I will have to penalize you. Damn it! I'm already getting penalized by the judge. Oh, shrink! Oh! Oh, I forgot. He wasn't strangled to death. He was struck.
Objection! Objection!
Oh, really? Is that... Were you being funny, Apollo? Were you being funny over there with the oh really? Is her name oh really? Or is it Orly? Oh really? Strangled, you say? That's odd.
Normal customers only choke on borscht.
No, I mean this report shows that the victim died of a blow to the head.
Ah!
Miss Orly, really now? Did you witness the crime? He has perfect balance. Looking at the picture, it doesn't seem like he was hit. He's still wearing his hat and everything. Maybe they put the hat back on his head. They were like, to make him look like he's just taking a little nap.
Yes, it is a fact that he was hit, Your Honor.
Ooh! That's how it looks like he's... It looks like he's just going, ooh! Ouch! Here's a photo we took of the victim with his hat off during our investigation. Well, that's quite shocking, isn't it? This head certainly was hit! Crime photo 2 added to the... It would be really nice, Winston Payne, if you would give me all of the evidence. And I wouldn't have to wait for you to graciously offer it. As far as I know, that's the commentary on the Japanese court system, is that the prosecution can't actually withhold evidence.
But I have seen it happen. The defendant, he lunged the victim his neck.
Oh, he was taking the locket, quote unquote locket. He was probably taking it from his neck, but he did it violently. Oh, really, Miss Orley? Yeah, he was being funny, but it's not that funny, Apollo. He looks so self-satisfied with his little pun. But it's not a really good pun, unfortunately. So I cannot... I'm back! Hello! Welcome back! So we have learned that Miss Orley, she doesn't understand what was happening. I don't think anyone would understand what was happening unless they understood that there was magic about. Hi, back. Now that one, I can stand by. I think I've caught you in your own lie this time. Justice, I admire your enthusiasm, but perhaps you should think this through once more. What do you mean? I found a contradiction. There's one thing in her testimony that troubles me. Very well. It seems we should continue the cross-examination. There is such a thing as thinking too much. This horse is dead. Let's stop beating it. There's such a thing as thinking aloud too much, too. Oh, he can think? He can think. I meant he can read his thoughts? After defendant tried to strangle victim, he hit him with bottle. He didn't say anything about hitting before.
Sorry, I must be forgetting this.
Witness, you will take greater care with your testimony.
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. And that clears up the discrepancy with the autopsy report, I believe. The defendant made to strangle his victim, then changed his mind, and chose a simpler, blunter means to do the job. Yes, that sums it up nicely.
So he strangled him, then hit him? Something's fishy about all this. Go ahead. I believe you know what it is you need to do. Right, sir! Leave it to me! There were only 3 people in the room at the time of the murder. The victim, Shoddy Smith, Mr. Wright, and if Mr. Wright is the killer, After the defendant tried to strangle... I mean, there would be marks on his neck. Where is the locket? Okay, let's... Oh my god. Can I... No! Oh, I can save. It is always good to save before you make a horrible mistake. That's what I always say.
Objection!
Oh, thank God.
Objection!
You know, There was one curious part in her testimony, just like Mr. Gavin said. But what does it mean? Mr. Justice, would you care to explain what it is you're thinking so intensely about? Recall the testimony, Your Honor. The victim played with his hand on locket at his neck, I believe she said.
I hope you aren't about to raise an objection to the witness's grammar.
No, but look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. How do our eyes get so red? And what the hell is on... What's his name again? Someone's head. Do you see a locket on the victim's neck? Well done, Justice. I'm impressed. I knew you'd be able to handle this. But what does it mean? If we are to believe this witness's testimony as is, then the locket disappeared following the victim's death. Lockets don't just disappear, Your Honor. It's quite simple when you think about it. If the locket is gone, someone must have taken it off, no? Taken it off? Wait, you don't mean... The defendant wasn't strangling the victim at all. He was taking off his locket. Wouldn't that explain it? Ah! Order! Order! Defendant, what do you have to say to this? Say? Yes? I just noticed this, but you have something hanging around your neck, don't you? That's his, though! We have a photo. Hold up. We have a photo, right here. He has it too. Right? I feel like that must be... I mean, I can't circle it with my mouse. I feel like he has it. I mean, obviously he has one because it lets him see through lies. Oh, look in the background. You have some Matryoshka dolls. They're so cute too. You have something hanging around your neck, don't you? Oh? You mean this? Oh, that is a locket. Oh, yes, it's a locket with a photograph inside. A photo of my daughter? Oh yeah, I heard that Phoenix Wright adopts a child, right? In one of the Nintendo DS games. Come again, Mr. Wright. You have a daughter? He confirmed it at the time of the arrest. The picture in the locket is indeed Mr. Wright's daughter. So Mr. Wright has a locket too? Why don't I buy that this is just a coincidence? Because this is an Ace Attorney game. Well now, if the result of this poker game led to the murder, perhaps we should hear a bit more about the outcome of the game?
Further testimony won't really be necessary. It's clear the defendant lost. Badly.
Is it clear? I feel like the red chips probably are worth more than the gray ones. Miss Orley, you will testify to the court about the gameplay between the victim and the defendant. Serious competition.
The game began with 3,500 points in chips for each man. House chips come in two sizes, small and large. The one who was winning, it was victim. For last hand, defendant played with all chips on table and lose. The moment loss was decided, defendant grabs bottle from table and...
Miss Orley, you have forgotten the chain of events again, the sequence. First, he strangles him, then he hits him with the bottle. That's what you've already testified to. Where is the strangling in this equation now? You've completely removed it. Indeed, looking at this photo, it does seem to be a one-sided game. I don't know anything about poker.
As the court knows, poker was the defendant's life. Failure must have been a bitter pill to swallow.
Swallow? Swallow? Why did I say it like that? Swallow. I don't think I've ever said a word like that before. How many times have I heard these words? I done it in a fate of rage. A common tale, but true. What? I done it in a fit of anger, Your Honor, and now I regret what I done. A common tale, but true. Methinks the judge watches too many old court movies. At least you're not swearing. I should swear more. Get demonetized on YouTube. If I had monetization. I wouldn't last a second. Mr. Rice said he hasn't lost in 7 years, so this testimony must be wrong. He believes in Mr. Wright so much, and you know what? I understand, I agree with him. He didn't do it. The game
Hold it!
Press.
Hold it!
Are those the usual starting points? Were any special rules used?
No, not special. Usual game, usual rules.
If each man began with 3,500 points, then the total would be... exactly 7,000 points. Please, this isn't calculus. It's not even long division. House chips come in 2 sizes, small and large.
Hold it! Hold it!
Are the chips in this photo all the chips that were used? Why only 2 colored chips? We need some variety, some diversity in these colors. It's just black, red, and gray. And blue. My bad.
Duh, of course.
Something's fishy with these chips. Should I press harder? Of course. Maybe you could explain a bit about these chips?
Explain? What is there to be explained? Objection! Poker chips are poker chips.
Oh!
Unicorn Turtle 660. Unicorn Turtle 660.
Wow! Thank you for the raid, Unicorn Turtle.
How's everyone doing? Ooh woo, turtle time, ooh woo. Hello raiders, I'm Melody Wisp, an asexual aromantic, agender, trans, non-binary, neuroqueer, multiply disabled, and neurodivergent Puerto Rican variety streamer. I'm also an accessibility provider. Ask me any questions you have about accessibility or stenography. It's my favorite. How you doing? How was your stream?
His face looks so smug.
Poker chips are poker chips.
It went well. Play some Z code. Oh, what's that? What kind of game is that?
They're not fish and chips, not a chip off the old block, not a motorcycle cop, not a... Thanks. Now that I've pressed her, I better ask something.
Played Apollo Justice before that though, completed that a week ago? Ooh, did you have fun? I bet you had fun. I'm already having fun. An hour has gone by and I haven't even noticed it.
What are these chips worth? Are they in dollars or rubles even? Yet, as I have been saying before, it was game, not gambling.
X-Blade's Code Embryo is interesting. Something about magic and figuring out about an incident. I don't know. And it's in the same universe as Blaze Blue. I don't know what Blaze Blue is either. Hello! How do I pronounce that username? Moriar? 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 Hello. You should say Mora. Oh. Perhaps for capitalists to understand. Ooh, she got him with the capitalist. I doubt he's a Mora ear? Mora for sure. Okay, Mora. I like this gal. Me too.
2 types of chip. 100 points chip and 1,000 points chip. It is not money, duh.
Justice? Sir! Don't you find her comment interesting? 100 points chip and 1,000 points chip. Let me check. Small and large. Each man began with 3,500 points. More ways than one, sir. I'd have it added to her testimony myself. Well, does the defense want a witness to add to her testimony? Yes, I do think this deserves further scrutiny. Add it to the testimony. I wish I knew where I was going with this. Very well. Witness, if you would be so kind.
Your Honor. One kind of chip is worth 100 points.
Hold it! Hold it!
Mr. Gavin said this testimony is important. To be honest, I have no idea why. Mr. Justice, do the court a favor and think of what you want to say before raising your hand. We are not in kindergarten.
Ugh, sorry, I'm fine. I'd better think of something to ask. And quick. The 2 types of chips. The small ones are 100 and the big ones 1,000. Right? Right? Of course. Ha! Don't waste our time.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Gulp.
Great, Mr. Gavin made me stop her, and now I'm the one who looks dumb.
Oh, Justice. Please try not to embarrass me like that.
Huh? Who? Me?
There's a clear contradiction in the information you have in your hands.
What?
It's a simple matter of calculation. Math time. Go on, try it. We're not in kindergarten after all.
Calculation?
Hold it! Hold it!
You're telling me that Mr. Wright, undefeated for 7 whole years, was losing? It must have been the most unlucky day for him. I am glad I did not take other picture of him. It would break camera, certainly. The chips, they went always to victim side of table. So you're telling us it was a one-sided game? Yeah, one-sided and...
Hold it! Hold it!
Left hand. It was largest points of any hand. The defendant's hand, it was excellent. He tried to use it to take victory from behind.
It appears that both the defendant and the victim's hands are in this picture. I thought for a second he meant it literally, like both of their hands were in the picture. I was like, well, of course, they both have hands. I was about to say something like that. That is truly an excellent hand. However, so is the victim. One with highest number
wins, so the defendant loses.
Okay. So, one set of chips is 100. And the other set is 1,000. Oh, whoops. So, we have 4 red, 1 gray, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 gray, 2 red. So, if the red is it's too bad the ad is playing right now, so I'll just continue and then I'll talk about my calculations.
One with highest number wins, so defendant loses. The victim, Mr. Smith, had a stronger hand than the defendant and crushed him. I believe that explains what occurred next. Once cards laid down on table, it happened.
They're doing 3-minute ads now? Yeah, I have it set for 3 minutes, just because if you set it for 3 minutes, then it wipes out an entire hour of ads after that. unfortunate. It's a lot of ads. And it really disrupts gameplay, especially because I never time it correctly, so they always just go. Probably rather it'd be that way if I wasn't a subscriber. Yeah. It's either that or the pre-roll ads. And I don't like pre-rolls because then people when they raid, they get interrupted immediately. And? What happened next? Even to think of it now, I shake and tremble. Ah! I do not believe such thing would happen. What such thing? Please, you must believe. I had no idea. How could such thing occur? What such thing? Yet. The defendant had been hitting the victim. I saw it all happen right before me. I saw bottle coming down on victim's head. Decisive, isn't it, Your Honor? My witness saw the very moment of the crime. Remember, your first goal is to gather information. Yes, sir. Look out, contradiction. Here comes justice. Okay. Game began with 3,500 points and chips. Is the starting. How was the math? Okay, so... So assuming that the reds are actually the ones that are worth the most, Right had 4,100 points, and the dead guy had 2,900. Because I refuse to believe that the reds are worth less than the grays. Okay, and then in this photo, it is still 4 reds, 1 gray. And on the other side, it is still, okay. Intended literally, pun intended? What pun? Add up? No, it wasn't pun unintended. Oh! I'm sorry. I'm thinking so intensely about this game that I'm not understanding what people are saying to me. Huh. We don't have a photo of how it looked before, right? Okay. What am I doing? Okay, that was it. You're sure it was the victim who won? Absolutely sure!
It seems our new attorney is a bit confused. A glance at the picture is enough to tell you who won, if you're not in kindergarten.
They started with 3,500. Phoenix Wright ended the game with 4,100, and the dead guy had 2,900. He was losing. Just for safety's sake, could you explain the problem to the court?
Of course, Your Honor. In this photo, I see small chips and I see large chips. Tell me, which were worth 1,000 points? Why, the big ones, of course. Duh! Oh, I thought so too. But then the totals don't add up. The totals. Let's review what the witness told us. Each man started with 3,500 points in chips, and the combined total value of the chips was 7,000 points. Oh, I didn't even catch that part. $4,100 plus 2,900 is indeed 7,000.
Yes, if my calculations are correct. Let's see. 3 plus 1, carry the 5.
They are, Your Honor. Look at this photo that allegedly shows all the chips. If the big chips are worth 1,000 points and the small chips are worth 100, and you add them up, how much is it? Do it yourself. You aren't in kindergarten, are you? 10,600 points. The chips don't add up. This clearly contradicts the witness's testimony. Oh! But why? How could this be?
Exactly, Justice. Now that you know the what, you must determine the why.
Right. There's only one possible way to explain this contradiction.
Both were right.
Each man began the game with 3,500 points. If all the chips are indeed shown in this photograph, then there can only be one answer.
Well, what is it?
The value of the chips was the other way around. What? Want to know what I think? The small chips were worth 1,000 points, not the big ones. Madness! Utter madness!
Show me that photograph of the chips again. There are 6 small chips and 10 large chips. Why, that does make 7,000 points when you add them up. Excellent work, Justice. It's almost as though you figured it out by yourself.
Well, I'm just glad I was the one who said it. But wait! The value of the chips may be different, but that changes nothing!
Indeed, the victim did have the larger number of chips still.
Oh, exactly! If the small chips are 1,000 points and the large chips are 100, do a little math. Add up the points for each side of the table.
The victim, Mr. Smith, had 2,900 points, and the defendant, Mr. Wright, had 4,100.
Well now, it seems that Mr. Wright was winning that night after all. That's impossible! My client had even less reason to kill the victim. After all, he was winning! Yarr! Now, Miss Orley, you must have known the true value of the chips, since you were there at the scene of the crime.
Weren't you? Order! Order! It appears our defendant has lost his motive, and Mr. Wright's supposed defeat never happened. That was such a good animation. It was. Oh, whoops. What happened? Hold it! She said hold it! We must now ask ourselves whether we can trust the witness's testimony. Hold it! Excuse me, what is it, Miss Orley?
I did not want to be saying this, but actually, you see, See what, Mrs. Orley? What do we see? In the last hand, there was cheat.
Cheat? You don't mean a trick? Wait, or do you mean a scam? They're all the same thing.
Yes, there was cheat in the last hand. That is why game ends with chips as they are.
Great, just great.
First we have lying, now cheating.
First lying, now cheating? Oh my god. How upsetting. We just could not have anticipated that. Well, this case certainly has taken a turn. For the interesting. Witness, you will please testify to the court. Tell us about this cheating in the final hand.
The last hand, both men had the next moment, game becomes argument. Duh! The defendant's trick was exposed. He took bottle in his hands. Poor Mr. Smith.
Miss Orley, why did you not tell the court about this from the very beginning? I thought I smelled a cover up here. Well, folks, it's time to throw back the covers. A full house is a very high-scoring hand. Not easy to make in my experience.
That alone is enough to suspect less than scrupulous tactics.
Mr. Gavin? What's a full house? So she likes to let players cheat. I think she does. At least they were at least conspiring, maybe? I don't know. I don't understand her motive yet. Why did she kill him? She was uninvolved. Like, she had no reason to kill him because she wasn't even a part of, of the poker game.
Lawyers these days, you don't know your poker?
I can't say this bodes well for your case or career.
What is this? Some kind of secret court poker ring?
Justice, you know the terms one pair, two pair, and three of a kind, yes?
Yeah, no problem. 2 cards with the same number makes a pair, and 3 makes a 3 of a kind.
Good. Now picture a hand with 1 pair and 1 3 of a kind. That's a full house.
That doesn't sound very easy to make, does it? You can see each player's hand in this photo.
Wow, they both have full houses.
We forget, there's an easy way to make a full house and go undefeated for 7 years. You cheat.
Ahem. The defense may cross-examine the witness.
If he did cheat in the last hand, that still leaves one important question. Mr. Wright lost that hand. Who's ever heard of a professional con man losing when they cheat?
True. Let me get some water. The final hand.
The last hand. Both men had full house.
Hold it! Hold it!
Just how hard is it to make a full house anyway? It is quite hard, though. It is making a pair and a 3 of kinds at the same time.
I guess that's right. Very difficult to be sure. You can take my word as the poker head of courtroom number 3.
Very difficult, duh, but it's not impossible.
Okay, full house, hard.
This line of questioning, a waste of time.
Hold it! Hold it!
4 of each card, you say? Duh! There is 1 spade, 1 diamond, 1 heart, and 1 club for each card. It is interesting fact that his number 4 comes from number of seasons.
Oh, that is an interesting fact. Huh, you don't say. Oh, and did you know that the cards are numbered 1 through 13? Add all the cards in the deck and you get 364. A year. Oh, you don't say. Isn't that 1 day short? Yeah, it's 1 day short. That's why each deck has 2 jokers. They say the second joker stands for the leap year. Thus you have a perfect representation of the year, all in a deck of cards. What? Huh, you don't say. I think it also originally was a dumbed down tarot deck too, but I could be wrong. I'll accept that as a fact. And maybe I'll Google it later. We're going to be in this courtroom for a year if it keeps going like this, if we just keep sharing fun facts about decks of cards.
If you look at both men's hands, cheat is more obvious.
Hold it! Hold it!
How was it clear?
Well, the defendant, he played a 5th ace.
A 5th ace?
I still remember both hands very well. Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces. And Mr. Wright's too.
Obviously, cheating was afoot. Or perhaps I should say, a hand! Your Honor, perhaps this could be added to the testimony without Mr. Payne's joke. Very well. The witness will add this detail to her testimony, please.
Hold it! Hold
fifth ace.
It should not exist, no? I still remember both hands very well.
Oh wait, this is just what she said before. Where did this card come from then?
Perhaps we should ask the defendant that very question. Adding cards to a deck is no less serious a taboo than forging evidence in a court of law.
Now, perhaps it's time for you to say something, Justice.
You bet! I've no intention of staying quiet. Not me. No, sir! I better find some contradicting evidence fast.
Hold it! Hold it!
Do you recall what the men were arguing about? I believe so. The victim, he shouts, "You are cheater!" And then the defendant shouts something like, "I have objection!"
Shouting objection, eh? Old habits are hard to break. First he bluffed his way through the courtroom, now he bluffs his way through life.
However, Mr. Wright lost the hand. That seems to cast a shadow of doubt on Mr. Smith. Humiliation from losing even when cheating. That is what set fire to defendant's heart.
So what did the flaming defendant do next?
Hold it! Hold it!
By battle, are you referring to this? The defendant uses this bottle to...
This behavior is an admission of cheating by the defendant. But why use a grape juice bottle? You'd be surprised at what can be used as a weapon.
This juice is recommended drink of Borscht Bull Club. This year's vintage is remarkable for its hefty flavor. Hefty enough to brain a grown man, apparently. First she says it was a serious competition. Now she says there was cheating.
Justice, notice anything odd? Her testimony keeps changing. Now she says the defendant cheated.
Actually, yes, I had noticed that.
Let's get the truth about this cheating first, shall we?
Right, leave it to me.
Okay, not this picture. I don't think it'd be this one. Huh. There's a bottle right there. Oh, wait. Hold up. Hold it. Objection. On Mr. Wright's side, there's 3 sevens, 2 aces, and on the dead guy's side, it's 3 kings and 2 aces. Oh, you fucking liar! You took these photos, and then you try to get us to believe that something happened that didn't happen. Oh, she almost got me there. She almost got me.
Objection!
Objection!
It appears the witness is mistaken. Mistaken? But my name is Olga Orley.
Look, this piece of evidence clearly contradicts what you said in your testimony. This piece of evidence that you provided the court. That's the photo of the chips, is it not? Justice, perhaps you ought to explain your point in a way that the judge can comprehend. In other words, use your finger to point out your point. Yes, please point out the contradiction in this photo. A particular point contradicts the witness's testimony.
Take that! Take that!
Why, it's here, of course.
It's where? What? Okay. Okay. I was not bluffing, I just... Okay, so maybe it's the 7.
Take that! Take that!
Nope.
Take that!
What?
Take that!
I swear. Why? How is it that I keep hitting the wrong thing? Damn. Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces and Mr. Wright's 2. How? Miss Orley, in your testimony you made the following claim. Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces. But as you can clearly see, the victim's hand only held 2 aces.
Well, maybe the witness was simply confused. Perhaps it was the defendant's hand that held the 3rd ace in question.
Objection! Objection!
Take another look at the evidence. As you can see, the defendant also had 2 aces in his hand. Where's this 5th ace? I see cheating all right, and it's going on right here in this courtroom.
2 aces in each player's hand does make 4 aces total. Hardly proof of cheating.
Wait, please! It is true. I have seen it. The 5th ace. There was cheating, I swear to you.
That's odd. You must be lying, yet she's the most sincere I've seen her all day. You're right to trust your instincts.
Mr. Gavin!
Who knows what lies in store for us in the trial ahead? Your Honor, if I may, I have a suggestion. What might that be, Mr. Gavin? If you don't mind, perhaps we might examine the actual cards? The cards? Maybe one of the cards is double-sided. One side it's a king, and the other side it's an ace. The cards? Mr. Payne.
Yes?
The players' hands that night were set aside as evidence, were they not? The defense would like to request that the cards be shown to the court. Very well. The prosecution will submit this evidence. Which will you examine? The victim's cards or the defendant's cards?
These cards don't prove cheating. What's going on? Nothing will. Now, which of these hands is more suspicious?
The victim's hands.
It was the victim's hand that changed over the course of the witness's testimony. The defense requests time to examine Mr. Smith's cards.
Very well. Mr. Payne, if you would.
Very well.
Now I can look at it. Well, time to waste and get to it, Justice.
Yes, sir.
When examining evidence, be sure to view it from all sides and angles. Try using the R button to turn it every which way and X and Y to zoom in and out. That should give you a better perspective on the case.
Okay, let's do this.
Oh.
What? Your Honor, look at this! One of the victim's cards! The back is a different color! That's impossible! But I put that card in Wright's hand. Oh!
What was that, Miss Orley? This is a hell of a tutorial case. Absolutely. There's so many twists and turns. I can't believe she almost got me with that sleight of hand, too. She kept... Like, it was right in front of me and I never noticed it because I just trusted what she was saying. That's amazing that this game actually tricked me like that. That's really good. What was that, Miss Orley?
No, yes. I merely said, I have...
Your Honor. Mr. Gavin, yes? Tell me, what is the easiest way to cheat at poker? To cheat? I'll tell you. One merely needs a friend. A comrade, shall we say. The dealer.
Wait, so you mean... This witness, Miss Orley.
She's the cheater. A professional, I'd wager. Order! Order! Focus, Justice. Time to take advantage of... whoa! I mean, of her mistake. Ooh. Settle your thoughts. Your Honor, please recall the testimony we just heard.
That's impossible, but I put that card in Wright's hands.
Ergo, Miss Olga Orley conspired to cheat, not with my client, but with the victim, Mr. Shoddy Smith. His name is Mr. Shady Smith. Okay. I still don't understand Olga's, pun name, but him being named Shady Smith is pretty good.
Ooh!
Not only did she cheat, she cheated poorly. She's terrible at cheating. Who the hell is bad at cheating? Therefore, it's not hard to imagine an altercation between her and the victim.
What?
Wait, you don't mean the defense isn't accusing the witness, Miss Olga Orley, are you?
Time for justice! There were 3 people in the room at the time of the incident, and if Mr. Wright isn't guilty, then that means I am. The defense accuses the witness, Miss Olga Orley, of murder.
So perfect. Mr. Payne, where is your witness, Miss Olga Orley?
It appears she has lost, consciousness, Your Honor.
Mr. Justice?
Your Honor!
It seems you presented a new possibility to the court, one suggesting a connection between the witness and the victim, Mr. Smith.
Then that means?
This court cannot pronounce a victim for the defendant at this time.
What? I did it! I held out!
I see no point in prolonging the trial this day. The prosecution will need to make further inquiries. Phoenix Wright, why are you objecting?
Mr. Wright?
You can't end the trial here, Your Honor. Not yet.
What nonsense! It's the defendant's viewing now!
Think. One of the cards had a different colored back. Don't you wonder what it means?
What are you doing, Mr. Wright? Raising objections right when you're about to get off the hook? Ridiculous!
Mr. Payne, you of all people should know. Mr. Wright has a talent for the ridiculous. Perhaps we should get to the bottom of things. Let's clear up the facts about the game that fateful night. As was said before, we alternated between 2 decks of cards that night.
That was said before!
The 2 decks of the club have different colored backs, blue and red. One color per deck.
Why use different colored backs?
If we use the same color, the decks might get mixed.
They used different colors and they still got mixed up.
We used the red deck for the last game. I see. But that's odd. For some reason, I have this impression that you were using the blue cards.
Yeah, me too. I'm sure someone said something about blue cards. Whatever. In the end, one card of the wrong color got into the mix, which means there was cheating.
Yes, a card slipped into the deck would seem to indicate cheating. Yet, this card raises 2 serious questions. Apollo?
Yes?
Let's consider the first question, shall we? Think. In the last game, when was the card swapped?
When?
There are 3 broad possibilities here. It could have been swapped before the murder, during the murder, or after the murder.
Well, yeah. Thanks for the news bulletin, Mr. Wright. Of course it was swapped.
Oh? It might be as simple as you think, Mr. Payne, or it might not be. I'd like to hear what Apollo thinks first. When do you think the cards were swapped? When was the card swapped?
I have no clue. I'm just wary of, like, losing all of my health. When was the card swapped into the deck? She said that she slipped. He gave Mr. Wright. Huh. Before the murder? Well, it must have happened before the murder.
You mean during the game? I wonder.
Huh? Why?
Think, when you're playing poker, which side of the cards face your opponent?
Ah! The back!
Not something the poker head of courtroom number 3 would be likely to miss.
Sorry, let me think about this some more.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it couldn't have happened before the murder because the Phoenix would have been able to see that there was a different colored card.
Perhaps it happened after the murder? What's that? Ridiculous! What's the point of cheating after the hands have been shown? That's silly!
Yes, but tell me, how do you swap cards during the game? I'll take silly over impossible.
Take it from me, son! There's a lot of silly in this world, but very little impossible.
Oh? Even when the backs of the cards are a different color? If you pulled that during the game, you'd be caught in no time. Ah! Quite true. That would mean that the blue card in question was swapped after the hands were shown, after the murder.
Okay, this is going past silly and straight on to crazy! I ask again, what's the point of cheating after the game's over? Who would do that?
Who indeed? That's one of the mysteries before us. There's another? Yes, a simple yet decisive question must be asked. Who swapped the red card for a blue card?
Who?
The game and murder is done. The victim is dead. Only 2 remain in the room, alive, that is. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, and our witness, Olga Orley.
Okay, so who was it that swapped the red card for a blue?
Phoenix, did you tamper with the scene of a crime?
The one who swapped the cards was... Mr. Wright, it was you, wasn't it?
And why would I do such a thing?
Well, because, maybe you were trying to hide the fact that you cheated?
That would make sense, but the swapped card was in the victim's hands.
Oh!
Sorry, I'm a nice guy, but I'm not that nice.
Come to think of it, he would lack a motive for helping his opponent to win. Okay, so who was it?
Olga.
Why, it must have been Olga Orley who swapped the cards. She was trying to cover up evidence of the cheating.
That does make some sense. Sorry, but there's a problem with that explanation.
Huh?
The swapped card was from the wrong deck. Yes, a blue card was stuck into a red hand. Mixing a card from the wrong deck when the backs are different colors? Remember that you're talking about Olga Orley. She was the dealer. Do you really think she would make such a novice mistake?
Actually, I have trouble imagining even the judge making that mistake.
Give it a little more thought, Apollo.
Right.
Someone else.
The one who swapped the cards wasn't Mr. Wright, of course. And, well, doesn't seem like it could have been Olga Orley either.
What are you suggesting? That's hardly a logical conclusion, I'll admit. As a defense, I think it only makes sense for you to name Miss Orley at this point.
Yes, I know. But she was the one who dealt the cards, right? I just can't believe she would make the mistake of swapping the wrong color card.
Did the victim swap the card after he died? He might have. There's only 3 people that we know of. How did you do this? I just love his hat, though. Like, I want that. I want that beanie. And if the card was swapped during the game, it'd be obvious. Something you'd like to share with the court, Mr. Wright? Oh, my apologies, Your Honor. I was just thinking how fun all this is.
Objection! Fun? How about confusing? I have no idea what the defense is claiming, Your Honor. If the one who swapped the card wasn't the defendant and it wasn't Miss Orley, then who was it? Yeah, well, that is the question, isn't it?
Precisely.
Huh?
I believe we're about to see this case take a new direction. A new direction? We'll find that indeed after the murder, someone swapped one of the cards in the victim's hand, and that someone made 2 critical mistakes. I'm sure you're going to tell us that the first was swapping the wrong color card, because the one who did the swap didn't know 2 colors of cards were being used. The other mistake was the number on the card.
Right. The person replaced the 5th ace with a king.
I'm sure whoever swapped it wasn't expecting there to be a 5th ace after all. All they knew was that the game had been won with a full house. So they picked up a king from the table and swapped it in.
But there's one problem. According to our case record, this person doesn't exist.
True, not until now, but you have to admit the possibility of a 4th person. Though it's more than a possibility. There was someone else there that night at the scene of the crime.
What?
I believe the judge spoke truthfully earlier. You do make trials. Ridiculous, Mr. Wright. This trial has proceeded on one central assumption. Namely, that at the time of the incident, there were only 3 people in that room. I believe this new evidence, shall we say, overturns that assumption. The problem is that you chose to conceal this information from the court. I suppose that is a problem, yes. Court is adjourned for a brief recess. Mr. Gavin, I'll see you in my chambers during this recess. Certainly, Your Honor. Very well, the trial will resume in 20 minutes.
You can't have an ex parte meeting with just the defense, dude.
You have to let the prosecution come in too, as loath as I am to suggest that. April 20th, 11:52 a.m. Defendant lobby number 3. That was quite unexpected, Mr. Wright. You suddenly claimed there was another person at the scene of the crime like that. I must ask, is it the truth? Well, now, I think you would know the answer to that. Ah, being mysterious, are we? Sadly, I've no time for mysteries. I'd only ask that you leave the defending to your defense in the future. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee the outcome. I see you haven't mellowed out one bit, Kristoff. Justice?
Yes, sir!
The judge has summoned me to his chamber, so carry on without me. You did well, Apollo.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
That locket you wear, is that really yours, Mr. Wright?
Ah, you're wondering about the victim's disappearing locket? Here, you can take a look at it. That's a picture of my daughter in there.
Aw, she's so cute! I'm just surprised to hear you had a daughter.
Peter Wright is like the only person in the whole series up until now who hasn't committed perjury. I would assume he wouldn't start now. True. And yeah, she's just incredibly cute. Wow. Most people are. Perhaps you'll meet her one of these days.
One more question. The one who cheated that night, was it you?
What do you think? I loved her hat too. She's like a little magician. I think Phoenix is always cheating! Huh? You know what happened 7 years ago? What I did. It's not unreasonable for you to think I might cheat.
I never! Honest! But it is odd that he managed to go undefeated for 7 whole years.
Want to know something? There's only one game where you can be dealt bad cards all night and still win. Poker.
Eh?
You see, poker is all about reading your opponent. In that way, it's a lot like a court case. Poker is like trial law? Figure out what your opponent is thinking and you win. Well, yeah, but that's harder than it sounds. I think not. Try as they might to conceal it, everyone reveals their true thoughts in the end. Their body language can become a valuable source of information. No! Not really. Body language analysis is bullshit. Sorry, Phoenix. You're kidding! You must be kidding. That witness, for instance, Miss Orley. She would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice? Oh, no! Come on, who'd notice that? Words, habits, twitches. It's all information for the reading. That's the secret to winning, Apollo. Someone taught me, and now I pass the secret on to you. But I'm not worthy! I'm not worthy, Mr. Wright! I mean, there's no way I'll pick up on these signals. No, you can do it. Huh? You just don't know it yet. What's he talking about? Is he suggesting, yeah, this is cop shit? Yeah, I guess it's because his boyfriend is a prosecutor. That's gotta be it. It's that prosecutor bullshit. It's rubbing off on him. Or it's just that he's talking about magic. I think he's talking about magic. But you will, soon. Almost forgot. One more thing about this case. You should know, I haven't told the truth to anyone yet. What? How you knew it? I have my reasons, of course. All shall be revealed. And Apollo, I need you to be there, defending me. I need your power. Your magical power? My, power? I had no idea my cords of steel were that special. It's time. The real trial begins now. Do your best. To be continued. Intermission. Whoa. Man, now I have 3 save files. How many are there? 10. Let's continue on to the next chapter. Court will now reconvene. Has our witness, Miss Olga Orley, recovered?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, she's regained consciousness.
Perhaps we can hear her version of the events again?
That's the thing. You see, she's quite fatigued.
You're looking a bit fatigued yourself, Mr. Payne. Sadly, fatigue is insufficient grounds for refusing to testify or prosecute. The defense would like to request that Miss Orley take the stand. Very well. The witness will take the stand. Perhaps you could repeat your name and profession? Or perhaps you'd rather admit that you're a poor liar and a poor loser.
Not. Name's Olga Orley. That's the truth. I'm a pro dealer. People call me Olga Quick Fingers Orley.
Oh really?
Want to know something else? I'm not really Russian, and my last name sounds like oh really. There, that's the truth. I hope you're satisfied.
Witness! You will tell the court what you were really up to that night.
Fine, I'll talk. We had a plan, see?
Let me remind you that you are currently under oath. Any further fabrications will have serious consequences.
Fine. Like I said, I'm a pro. That guy Smith hired me to do what I do best. I was planted at the Borscht Bowl Club several days prior to the night of the game. I have such a hard time saying Borscht Bowl Club. I didn't even know that I had such a weakness. Borscht Bowl Club. That is tough for me to say. As a waitress.
So you were in cahoots with the victim! Not that he needed my help. Smith is a well-known poker player in some circles. But winning wasn't the main purpose of this game. It was about destroying a legend, the unbeatable Phoenix Wright. The plan was simple. Elegant, really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of the games. When their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Wright. This is quite the image. He would then pull out the planted card and the trap would snap shut. What a bizarre image. You swap the cards. Exposed as a cheater and losing on top of it, it would have made a great double play. Just like that, the legend would be daxed to pieces. Indeed, getting caught red-handed and cheating would cast doubt on all his prior wins. A 7-year legend destroyed by one little card. That was the plan. Oh really, oh really? How droll. But it appears you made quite a mistake. A mistake? I agree, the trap was elegant. Yet, what happened to that planted card? Hey, that's right! He's lucky, I'll give him that. You'd have to be to slip free from a trap laid by Olga Quickfingers O'Reilly. Oh, really? The witness would be much cuter if she dispensed with the evil mastermind shtick. You, who wants to be cute? I'm not cute, I'm bad. You hear me? Bad. When you're through being bad, perhaps you could testify to the court? Tell us about this trap and how it was sprung. Yeah, Your Honor. She's a woman, not a girl. She's not cute, she's bad. That night, I planted a card like I was supposed to. And Wright lost the last hand, just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him. But the planted card was gone. The trap failed. The next moment, Wright picked up a bottle and swung it. It wasn't me who hit Smith. It was that no-good cheating defendant. A surprisingly frank testimony that still leaves us mostly in the dark. The trap was perfect, I tell you, perfect. If that run cheater hadn't messed it up. Look who's talking! Well, the testimony, for what it's worth, is all yours, Mr. Justice. With witnesses like her, who needs criminals? And with defendants like Mr. Wright, who needs prosecutors? The best laid traps.
Hold it! Hold it!
The splendid card! Which card was it exactly? The trump card. The 5 of hearts. Let me guess, Mr. Wright was to have switched the 5 with the ace to make a full house. At least that's what you were going to accuse him of doing, thereby ruining his legend. I slid it into Wright's pocket. When was this? Right, before the match, of course, while he was eating. At the Borscht Bull Club, we served borscht and suckers. Remind me never to go there. Of course, the card was to make its grand debut during the game. Like a good borscht, a good plot must be cooked up early and allow it to thicken.
Hold it! Hold it!
So, everything went according to plan. Exactly. The 5th ace came up, so it was obvious the switch went off without a hitch. Once the extra card was found in his pocket, Wright would be forever known as a cheat and a fraud. There are worse things to be known as, I suppose. Tell us what happened with the search.
Hold it! Hold it!
The card disappear? Yeah, my trump card, the 5 of hearts. Gone, without a trace. Poof, Zippo. We searched every nook and cranny, even inside his cute little hat. But the card was nowhere to be found, is this correct? Never in my long storied career. Never has Quickfingers O'Reilly been so readily duped. Oh really? So what did happen to that 5 of hearts? Don't look at me. Why don't you ask that cheating, lying, two-faced defendant? So the 5 of hearts is still missing in action.
Hold it! Hold it!
Wait, isn't that a little odd? What's odd? You searched Mr. Wright thoroughly and found nothing? Which means he didn't cheat. Which means he had no reason to strike the victim. Well... just now. I sensed something. My magic powers are awakening? Finally! At the ripe age of 22! Something wrong, Mr. Justice? No, nothing, Your Honor. What to do? Should I press her a little harder? Miss O'Reilly, you're hiding something. What are you talking about? You? Me? Quick Fingers O'Reilly? Hide something?
The defense will refrain from baseless accusations.
I have one question for the witness then. You say you saw the moment the defendant hit the victim. Is true? Of course it's true. I did see it, honest. I saw it when Wright hit him. With my own eyes, I saw it. This weird vibe I'm getting. The vibes are off. That witness, for instance, Miss O'Reilly, who would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice? Touching her neck, was it? She's beautiful. Whoa! What's going on? This sensation. Coming into focus. There! That twitch! So clear. It's like I could perceive her habit like I couldn't before.
Gotcha! Gotcha!
Miss O'Reilly, perhaps you are unaware of this yourself. Unaware of what? Whenever you get to a certain part of your testimony, you touch the back of your neck with your left hand. My neck? So what? What indeed, Justice? I hadn't noticed anything of the sort. When she says that part of the testimony, she's subconsciously recalling something. Her body reacts to the memory. She touches her neck. No. Let's settle this. Body language analysis is racist and ableist. And also classist. I mean, it's like any ist. It's not real. This is just magic. It's magic tricks. Not especially happy that the game is treating this like it's a real thing, but like it's magic, so we'll just have to roll with it. I'm sure of it.
A memory? Would someone care to explain what he's babbling about?
This is highly unusual, but let's ask the defense. You claim the witness is remembering something. Maybe you have evidence of this memory to show us? Her habit is scratching her neck whenever she talks about the moment of the crime. So what would remind her most of the moment of the crime? Miss O'Reilly, whenever you recall the crime that night, you scratch her neck. I've noticed it happens when you think about the moment of the crime. There must be some reason behind this habit of yours. I believe the weapon that left an erasable impression on your neck is this. I like that it says hat removed during investigation. Oh, this.
Take that! Take that!
Whenever she talks about the moment of the crime, she touches her neck. And what reminds us more of that moment is this bottle, the murder weapon. But something doesn't fit. If you are only the witness of the crime, why would that make you touch your neck like you're in pain?
What's he talking about now?
It was Mr. Smith, the victim who was hit. Not you!
This is a cross-examination, not a cross-wild conjecture! The witness's habits? They're completely irrelevant!
Justice, I'll admit, I'm a bit confused myself. This is certainly a unique cross-examination. I'll explain later. Just trust me. Now's our only chance to break her. Miss O'Reilly, please testify in detail about the moment of the crime. The very moment. Yet, I am knowing nothing. We know you're not Russian. The witness will testify, please. Now. Bah!
fine. He's the one who did it. I didn't let him out of my sight until the cops got there.
Hold it! Hold
You
it!
seem uneasy. You try standing up here. Her eyes are dotting all over the place. It must be getting warm. Tell me, after the crime, what was the defendant like? Well, he must have been stunned by the weight of his crime. He sat in the daze at that table until the cops came.
Intriguing. I believe you've gotten all the testimony you're going to get out of this witness. So what do you think about her testimony?
I'll tell you what I think. Her testimony is flawed. Basically bogus. It contradicts the evidence.
What's that? Well, show us this evidence, Mr. Justice. This evidence that you claim contradicts the testimony.
You didn't let him out of her sight until the cops got there. I know there's some evidence that contradicts that.
Take that! Take that!
Miss O'Reilly, we have a record here that clearly contradicts what you said. It states that the police were alerted by a report from the defendant. And we know that the defendant left the room, climbed the stairs, and made that phone call from the first floor of the Borscht Bowl Club. Ugh! So explain how you kept your eyes on the defendant when he left the room entirely. The man who picked up a bottle and swung it that night wasn't the defendant.
Showdown time.
You dirty cheat. Check his pockets now.
It's gone. The card's gone.
You lose. Oh! Just then, Smith grabbed the bottle from next to right, and he hit me.
You, some master of cheating you turned out to be.
When I came to,
The victim was already dead, is that it?
that's right, I couldn't reveal who I really was. If it came out that I was in league with Smith, I'd be a suspect for sure.
Well, where does this leave us?
Madness! This is madness! I'm dreaming! It must have been me who was hit with a bottle, and I'm imagining all of this!
It appears our prosecution is at his wit's end, and frankly, I can't blame him. Mr. Gavin, what do you think about this turn of events?
Mr. Gavin? Sir?
I believe that, as defense in this case, we are compelled to call Miss O'Reilly a big fat liar.
What?
3 were in that room the night of the murder, the defendant, victim, and her. And she has a motive.
A motive?
Her plot foiled, the witness got into an argument with her client, Mr. Smith. And the denouement of the argument was murder.
What? I'm no killer! It's a trap! Someone's trying to frame me!
What tangled webs we weave when we practice to deceive. So tangled we catch ourselves in the process. Mr. Wright! A hasty conclusion. Not like you, Christoph Gavin. What are you saying? Why not consider the other possibility? That there was another person in the room at the time of the murder.
Right, like Mr. Red was saying before recess.
A single card was swapped into the victim's hand after the murder. And the one who swapped the card didn't know 2 colors of cards were being used. A 4th person.
Ha! This theory again! Your 4th person doesn't exist!
Indeed. That's why I decided to bring this case to court. Here, where there's no escape and no chance for deception. The perfect place to catch the real criminal. Is he accusing Christoph? But we just met him. He can't be the murderer. He's so new to us. The real criminal. And we're in luck. A clue to the real criminal's identity was kindly provided for us. And right at the beginning of the trial, no less.
What?
Apollo, perhaps you know what I'm talking about? Sorry. Remember what I said. The fourth person who swapped the cards made one critical error. He or she wasn't considering the color on the backs of the cards. Right. But how could such an obvious mistake occur? The cards used for the last game were red. Yet, there was one person here in our court who thought those cards were blue. Yeah, I had that impression too. But why? Well, Apollo, think you can figure out who it was?
It's not me, I swear!
Who is this fourth person?
Why do I always get put on the spot like this?
Let's hear what the defense has to say. Who was it? Who thought the cards used in the final game were blue?
Take that! Take that!
As I expected. Your eyes and ears are as sharp as your hair.
But I was right?
Christoph Gavin, you were the fourth person that night.
But of course Mr. Gavin knows the color of the cards.
How would he? As you can see, the photo of the crime scene is black and white. You can't tell which of the cards are blue, the ones on the floor or the table.
But look! You can see the colors in this photo!
Which was taken by Olga, who didn't reveal that she had this until we started questioning her during her testimony. Oh my god! Yes, but when he said the cards were blue, it was well before this evidence came to light. Oh, slip of the tongue! It is true that the defendant was engaged in a game of poker with the victim, yet it was only that, a game in the purest sense, a competition, Your Honor.
A competition?
Yes, a test of wits, a silent clash of passions. Only the cards, their backs wreathed in blue flame, know its final outcome. Well, Christoph?
Mr. Gavin?
Mr. Gavin, is something the matter? No, nothing. Excuse me, it was just so sudden. Right, you weren't seriously accusing me, are you? Oh, Christoph, you know you and I'd never take a joke this far.
This has gone beyond ridiculous, beyond dumb. This is insanity. The defendant accusing his own defense attorney of murder?
I assure you, I'm quite sane.
But what possible connection can Mr. Gavin have to the victim?
I wasn't aware that I had a connection to Mr. Smith either.
Yes, but Mr. Gavin and the victim have never even met.
Well, what if they have?
Huh?
There was a possibility, after all. They may have met that night before the game started. What are you suggesting? Is this the truth Mr. Wright was staying silent about? Well, only one thing to do. Mr. Wright, the defense would like to request that you testify to the court. The defense would like to request no such thing. Mr. Gavin? Testimonies must relate to the case. How could anything happening before that game of poker be related? I'm not sure I follow, Mr. Gavin. As I explained before, the defense believes that Miss... Oh, really? Am I to assume you speak for Mr. Justice in this? He is the defense, not you. Mr. Justice, the matter of Mr. Wright's testimony is up to you.
Oh, okay. Go?
Does the court, in your opinion, need to hear Mr. Wright's testimony?
This was Mr. Wright's strategy. He was planning this all along, and I intend to see it through. The defense would like to request that Mr. Wright testify to the court.
It too, Justice? You would betray me, your teacher?
I'm sorry, Mr. Gavin. This isn't about loyalty. This is about the truth.
Very well. The defendant, Mr. Wright, will take the stand, please. Appetite before murder. That evening, Christoph and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. Sadie Smith walked in 5 minutes after Christoph left. When the trap failed, Smith had hit the waitress. The girl was knocked out cold and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. That's when I made another phone call. Defense attorney Gavin. Mr. Gavin, you were at the Borscht Bowl Club the night of the murder? I dined with him rather frequently. And he talked to the defendant on the phone directly after the murder! Quite against my will, I had become involved in a murder. I thought I might be in need of a lawyer, so I called him. You were planning this all along, weren't you, right? Just because you wanted to drag me into your little murder trial. The only thing I want is the truth. As I did back then, and now. I thought my office was doing you a favor when we took on your defense. It appears that I was wrong. Very well. The defense may cross-examine the witness. Justice? Sir! He's lying, and you're going to expose him. Understood, sir. Mr. Gavin versus Mr. Wright. This can't end well. Why can't I have a normal trial? I have a type before murder. You had dinner with Mr. Gavin? Yes, he dines with me at the Borscht Bowl Club quite frequently. We were enjoying a usual dinner at our usual spot, as usual. Usual? I always eat at the table closest to the piano. I see. Where Mr. Smith was sitting. So the plates inside the table were from your dinner? Indeed, the remnants of my meal with Christoph. We dined for 2 hours, and Christoph left. After that, you dined for 2 hours? That's a really long time to be eating dinner, dude. Y'all are some chatty Cathy's. "5 minutes? So the two of them could have passed in the restaurant during that time?" That would have been a fateful encounter, to be sure.
Oh, Mr. Wright, what was it you said? Christoph Gavin and Shady Smith may have met?
I believe I did say that.
Here I was all nervous about this meeting, and now we hear they just passed in the hall?
That does seem a little weak as a pretense for murder.
Oh, it would be, if that were all that really happened. Come on, Mr. Wright. What are you hiding this time? About this failed trap. This is the same trap that Miss Olga O'Reilly mentioned? The plan was simple. Elegant, really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of their games. When their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Mr. Wright. He would then pull out the planted card, and the trap would snap shut.
You swapped the cards.
Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces.
Yes, a harmless prank in essence. It was by a quirk of fate that I happened to discover it.
A quirk?
I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found a card.
The card she planted!
Yes, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed of the card before the game. Disposed? Where? There was an empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. I threw the card inside the bottle.
An empty bottle of grape juice?
The murder weapon? Yes, I rolled it up and shoved it in. The colored glass makes it hard to see. A battle of wits between the deceiver and the would-be deceived. That sounds like terrific drama.
A card inside the murder weapon? That's strange. Did the police miss it in their investigation? Maybe I'll take a look.
Mr. Wright, the poker head of court number 3 approves of this battle of wits. Please revise your testimony with this new information. There's nothing in here.
Grape juice. How long has it been since I drank grape juice? Apparently it's Mr. Wright's favorite drink. I wonder how well it goes with borscht.
Huh. That's it, huh? Right in the bottle! I perceived my opponent's intent immediately. I'm used to entrapment, you see. I knew what was coming. Ho ho! So you struck first! I like that. I know every trick in the book. They don't work on me. At least when you get lucky, you stick your hand in your pocket, they don't. You made the call to the police from the first floor of the restaurant, correct? Exactly. Cell phones don't get a signal down in the hideout. Was anyone else on the first floor at that time? Not a soul. It was the middle of the night after all. So there, in the darkened restaurant, I called the cops. After making the call, I returned to the hideout. It didn't seem right to leave the injured waitress alone. And when you returned, the victim was already dead, yes. I'll admit, I was a little startled when I walked in. Little? He was bleeding from his forehead, after all. I guess I'd be startled too if I walked in on a scene like that. What? Photo of forehead. Resulting from blunt trauma to forehead. Yeah, that is the cut. Could you explain why you called Mr. Gavin? I'd obviously gotten involved in a rather sticky affair, and I figured Kristoff's law offices would give me a friend rate for my defense fees. Glad to hear you intend to pay. Oh, I'll pay in full, Kristoff. It was I who got you involved after all. You may find the price of your defense quite high, my good friend. Quite high. Is this the truth that Mr. Wright was talking about? Justice, you know what you have to do. He's lying. Expose him. Now. Yes, sir. I have to think. What's Mr. Wright trying to tell me with his testimony? The truth has to be in there somewhere. He sat at the table. Photograph.
Objection! Objection!
Mr. Wright, if I may? Yes? I've examined the bottle and I don't see any card in here. No? What, Mr. Wright? Surely isn't all you have to say for yourself. I can't say that I know what happens to the card. I did put it in that bottle, however. Huh? Perhaps a fifth person came and took it out? Oh, and a sixth person could have helped. Mr. Gavin, Mr. Wright is your client. My apologies, Your Honor. I won't have you disparaging our investigation either. You looked inside that bottle, and there was nothing. What's going on? Is Mr. Wright hoodwinking us again? Or did the card just disappear? In any case, please continue the cross-examination. I'm afraid decisive contradictions call for decisive evidence. Oh! Push him harder, Justice. Break him. It's just you and the witness in the ring. Go for the KO. Why do I get the feeling we're not on our client's side anymore? Maybe I present. This? Oh, what is this on the back? Wow, the battery is being held in with a case of tape. He should just buy a new one. Maybe he can't afford it, or he just doesn't care. That's it? I'm not sure.
Objection! Objection!
Mr. Wright, if I may? Yes? Take a look at this photograph of the crime scene. See the victim here? He's wearing a hat. I wouldn't think you could see blood on his forehead. Good point. Justice! Next time you point out an inconsistency, put a little more oomph into it. Mr. Wright, can you explain this to the court? I forgot to mention something. I was the one who put that hat on his head. Eh? You? You put the hat on the dead man's head? He wore it through our entire poker game. After calling the police, when I returned to the scene, his head was in full view, shining bright, just like in his photograph. And I picked his hat up off the floor and put it on his head. Why'd you do such a thing? All I can say is, I'm sorry, but that's the only thing I touched at the crime scene. So, Miss O really didn't see it? It's being the victim's, his head. I think not. She was out cold. I believe I was the only one who witnessed his head. Ah, here we go again. Mr. Gavin? Pardon. It just seems that our client is determined to lie his way through this case. Hey, he's still our client, isn't he? I believe that's enough of that. Oh, Mr. Gavin! This witness's testimony is more like a travesty. It's riddled with lies. I'm beginning to see how you came to lose your attorney's badge 7 years ago. Well, you certainly have a unique way of treating your clients, Kristoff. I never knew. I believe it was you who threw the first stone. Mr. Wright, if you intend to ever tell the truth about this case, it's now or never. Don't be misled. I haven't told a single lie here. Eh? When I noticed the trap, I put the card in the bottle to dispose of it. And when I put the hat on the victim's head, let's just say I had a reason for doing that as well. A reason? That reason is right here. Your cell phone? That night, recall that I spoke with defense attorney Gavin after calling the police. Just in case, I recorded our conversation. What's this? Now that we're all here, I see no reason why I shouldn't play it back for the court. Kristoff, I seem to be in a bit of trouble. What's this? Game not going well? Something like that. That gentleman who challenged you. He turned out to be good? He turned out to be dead. Someone hit him hard. You made someone crack that flawless bone china pate? It wasn't you, was it? Was that a slip-up? Yeah, that was a slip-up. No one said anything about his fucking head. It wasn't you, was it? Me, please. The cops should be here any minute. I'm in your hands. Should it come to that? Bone china plate? A kind of porcelain, very smooth and shiny. And not plate, but pate. I believe he was referring to a certain gentleman's balding forehead. The court appreciates the defendant's discretion in not indicating my forehead. Wait a second. Something's not right about that phone call. So, after Mr. Gavin ate dinner with you, he left the Borscht Bowl Club. Most certainly. Then how did he know? When did he see this bone china pate? Oh, that's right! Yes, that was when I began to see my good friend in a different light. Troubled, I returned to the crime scene, and when I spotted Mr. Smith's head again, I realized exactly what was wrong. Well, Mr. Gavin, the stage has been set. Perhaps you would like to explain this to the court? Exactly how did you come by your privileged knowledge of the victim's head? So, this is your reason. The reason why you put the victim's hat back on. Your point, Mr. Gavin? It's come down to this, has it, Phoenix Wright? Order! I will have order! Mr. Payne! Yes, Your Honor! I believe this court has been left with no other choice. Are you prepared to hear defense attorney Gavin's testimony? Well, as the prosecutor, Very well. We'll break for 10 minutes. after which Mr. Gavin will take the stand for cross-examination. Are we all clear on that? Crystal clear, Your Honor. Very well, this will be the final recess for the day. Man, my voice is dying. Mr. Gavin and Mr. Wright are both in the judge's chamber. Who'd have thought today would turn out like this?
May I?
Huh? What?
Hello, sir. Please, pick a card.
What's this all about? Is this one okay?
Excellent. I have a message for you. The last hand is about to be played. You'll need a trump card to make it.
OMG, her! Yeah, it's her! She's so cute! Look at her little hat. Her little neckerchief. Everything about her is so cute. Adorable. A trump card?
The card you have chosen is magical. Use it wisely and the game is yours. That's all.
An ace. Where do I remember that card from?
Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces and Mr. Wright's 2. It is 5 aces in all.
It is true. I have seen it. The 5th ace. There was cheating, I swear to you. The missing 5th ace. Wait, this splotch of red. Is this blood?
You have your trump card. Now it's up to you to cut the deck and draw the truth. My father's fate is in your hands. I know you can do it.
This blood-stained card is my trump card for finding the truth. The first thing he noticed is not the blood, but that it's an ace. Yeah. The first thing I noticed was that there was a red splotch. I fell deep into thought as my mind raced to understand what this all meant. That girl, I'd seen her recently, but where? That's when I made the connection. Aww. She's in blue now, not red. Receipt from a mysterious girl. Could this be the missing 5th ace? Court will now reconvene. Defense attorney Christoph Gavin, will you please take the stand? That was an order, not a question. I want my kid to dress like her. With style and pizzazz. Now then, if you would, Mr. Payne.
Yes, Your Honor. Will the witness state his name and occupation?
Is this farce necessary, Your Honor? Believe me, far stranger things have gone on in this courtroom. Fine, I'll play along. First, there's one thing we need to have made clear. How did you know about the secret beneath the victim's hat?
By secret, I'm guessing he means the fact that Mr. Smith was bald.
Forgive my curiosity, but what is it about this fellow's head? Your Honor seems to have an inordinate interest in it.
Objection! Objection!
I wouldn't call it inordinate, Mr. Gavin.
Mr. Wright!
What do you think you're doing, Wright? Wow, things sure look different from the other side. You know what I mean, Apollo? Speaking of looking from the other side, let's consider something for a second. The victim wore that hat all night, never once taking it off except for that one time.
At one time, being the instant he was hit.
Oh! When Mr. Wright returned from reporting the crime, the hat was lying on the floor.
Mr. Wright picked it up and placed it on the victim's head. In other words, in order to have seen Mr. Smith's bald head, you would have had to have been there in the hideout at the time of the crime.
In other words, I must be the real killer, is what you're trying to say. Not bad, Apollo. Mr. Gavin! I'm afraid that I haven't been entirely honest with the court.
What?
Oh, I assure you, I had the noblest of intentions. I did it all to protect my client, Mr. Wright. Yet, I'm afraid in the current situation, I see little reason to hide anything. Very well, allow me to tell you the truth of what happened that night. Finally, you may begin your testimony. Tell us, how were you involved in the event of that fateful night? That fateful night. The rage I sensed in that man that night troubled me, so I returned to the club. I went down to the basement and peeked in through the little window to the hideout. It must have been right after the murder took place. The victim was dead as he appears in the photo. A bald head and unconscious girl, and Mr. Wright holding a bottle in his hand. I sensed that was not the best place for me to be at the time, and so I left. That's when the call came from Wright. So, you witnessed the murder? For better or worse, I missed the actual moment of the deed. Mr. Gavin, may I remind you that you are on Mr. Wright's defense team. Your testimony is clearly disadvantageous to your client. What else could I say? I'm standing on the witness stand after all. So you are, Mr. Gavin. And you had to testify as you just did. You had to tell them you saw the scene of the crime through that little window. Mr. Wright? You had to say that, because that was the only probable window of opportunity. Right, Apollo? Oh! Mr. Wright, the defense should do the cross-examination, not the defendant. Mr. Justice, are you prepared? Yes, Your Honor. Can't believe I'm going up against Mr. Gavin. This trial is getting weirder and weirder. That little window is finally coming into play. Oh wait, I forgot that I can examine this. Look at it. There's a number inscribed on the back of the badge. There are many numbers like it, but this one is mine. Proof that I am an attorney. Tell the truth, I get a happy feeling inside just looking at it. A single drop of blood marks the front of the card. That's what we call Joy-Con drift. That man! You mean Mr. Smith? He was different from the other customers. His aura, shall we say. I knew he was a serious poker player, but it was more than that. So then, you knew the true nature of your client's job? Of course, but I also knew he wasn't engaged in gambling, which would be illegal. Well, it makes sense that he'd know. They were friends after all. Worried for my friend, I returned to the club. You see, I feared this Mr. Smith might be someone coming to settle an old score. I see, so what happened then? I went down to the basement and peeked into the little window. The little window? You mean the one used to keep watch up the stairs? Yes, a relic of the ancient past. The black marketers used it, I believe. Marketeers used it, I believe. Why did you go through the trouble of peeking in through the window? Wouldn't it have been easier to just open the door and go into the room? I just didn't want to upset Wright, you see. Upset Mr. Wright? Yes, what if my fears have been unfounded? I'd be walking in on their match. Bad form, to say the least. So far everything he's saying makes sense. That didn't make any sense. Oh, he was scared that Phoenix would be upset if his friend walked back into the bar and watched their match. That's really silly. Very weak. Very weak. How do you know it was right after the murder? Really, no need to shout, Justice. I was just getting to that part of my testimony. There he is, the coolest defense in the West we know and love. Even when you're standing up there on the witness stand, some things never change. I was afraid you'd change too, Bright, but you haven't. You and that overbearing personality of yours. With friends like these, who needs enemies?
Hold it! Hold it!
By photo, you mean the second photograph of the crime scene? Precisely. You see, he wasn't wearing his hat then. I saw his head when he was dead. And then Mr. Wright came along and replaced his hat. Can you describe the scene of the crime for us? Bald head.
Hold it! Hold it!
Those were the only three at the scene of the crime?
Yes, as far as I saw at least.
Then we're right back where we started. The killer was the defendant, Phoenix Wright. Who else could it have been? But why didn't you talk to the police?
2 reasons. First, I didn't actually witness the very moment of the crime. Second, my office was asked to defend Wright. Even after seeing what I had seen, I couldn't abandon my friend.
There must have been someone else there at the moment of the crime.
Justice, I just said I saw no one, not a soul.
But that goes against what Mr. Wright said.
Ah, yes, this mysterious 4th person, who would conveniently be the real killer, I suppose. Glad to see we agree, Mr. Gavin. Let me pose a question then. Tell me, what possible reason did the real killer have to swap cards in the victim's hands? Perhaps you can show us a reason why such a thing would be necessary?
When I show something I can't find myself.
Remember, Apollo, the card that was swapped out was the 5th ace.
The 5th ace. Right.
Well, Mr. Justice, the question of why the killer would swap out a card has been raised. Can you point to a reason?
It's now or never. The defense would like to present evidence to the court. Evidence showing the reason why a card was swapped out.
Then go ahead and point out your reason, Mr. Justice. Why did the killer take the 5th ace?
Take that! Take that!
My reason is, this. Is that an ace?
Why, it's got blood on it! Right next to the spade! What?
This is insane! Why wasn't I told about this? Why?
Could this be the missing 5th ace? Inconceivable! How could she? What are you doing with that card?
Well, that's the thing. Why's Mr. Gavin so upset? Just a fishy card from some fishy girl.
Oh, that card? It's mine. That is, I picked it up at the Borscht Bowl Club that night after the murder had occurred. I gave it to my daughter. Cards are her stock in trade, after all. But no! Impossible! Unacceptable! The court can't accept this evidence. It's a fraud. Oh, his face is twitching. A fraud? How can you be so sure? What? I would think the only person who could claim it was a fraud would be the one who took the real card from the crime scene, the real killer. Allow me to elaborate. What if this trace of blood was the reason?
The reason for
the killer to take the card from the scene of the crime. Where are you going with this? Take another look at the photo and at the victim's head. At the moment of the crime, his hat fell to the floor, and a trickle of blood ran from his forehead down the back of his head. Couldn't a drop of that blood have fallen on one of the cards?
I suppose.
The killer then took the card to hide the blood. Regardless, that evidence is non-permissible. Oh? Right, regardless of how you wanted the last 7 years, you wasted the last 7 years. You used to be a lawyer. You know what a serious crime it is to conceal evidence? Oh, we can discuss the finer points of our legal system later. What's important now is that I've answered your question. What are you talking about? You wanted to know why the killer would have taken a card from the crime scene. And now, I've told you. That one drop of blood would have been decisive evidence, you see? This is baseless conjecture. Baseless.
Objection! Objection!
Oh, I assure you, it's quite based. Based on what? It's amazing, really, how a single drop of blood on a single card can lead us to the truth. Quite simple. Well, Apollo?
Yes?
Try picturing the scene of the crime. In your head. The murder took place in the hideout. The body of the luckless victim was found at the poker table. And before the killer swapped a card out, there was a single card with a drop of blood on it in the victim's hand. Given this, there was one decisive probable problem with the scene. Well, what is it? Let's keep it simple, shall we? Even if there was a drop of blood on a card, whose position in this diagram doesn't fit. The victims, the killers, the witnesses, the second witnesses, whose position doesn't fit with the bloody card. Well, isn't it the victim's position that's the problem? I don't follow your logic here, Mr. Justice. Well, look, the victim was struck in the head, sending him back in his chair. Do you think any blood would fall behind the body, not onto the table in front of him? Oh! Take a look at the photo again. If he bled in this position, the blood would fall on the floor, not on the cards. Why, that's right! So what does this mean? Incidentally, we were sitting in swivel chairs. Swivel chairs? Oh man. Apollo, try turning the chair around. The chair was facing the other way? It would have to be. So we have to assume that at the time of the murder, the victim's chair was facing away from the table. When Mr. Wright returned from informing the police, which way was the chair facing? When I came back into the room, the body was facing as seen in this photo. That would mean the killer turned the chair back around. Let's take the next step. Look at the diagram once more. We know now the victim was facing away from the table at the time of the murder, but this creates another significant contradiction. Again? Let's test your reasoning skills again, shall we? Apollo, whose location on this diagram contradicts our new understanding of the crime? The killers. What doesn't make sense is the second witness. You mean to say I don't make sense? Oh, no, of course you do, sir. As I thought. Help! Oh. I thought it was because... Okay. Oh. My bad. The victim was struck from the front, correct? Indeed. Well, wouldn't it be hard for the killer to hit him from the front? Sitting where his indicator currently is? I would think it'd be quite hard, yes. Yes! But what you're saying makes no sense! Why would the victim suddenly turn to face the wall in the middle of the game? I believe a sufficient reason will soon come to light. But what? There's something in this diagram that makes far less sense, actually. Look again at the diagram. Apollo, if the victim was struck while he was sitting as shown here, where would his assailant be standing? Try marking it on the diagram. What? But there's no room to put a mark where the killer should be. Don't worry, let's think it through and see what we find. We know the victim was facing toward the wall at the time of the crime. That's the only thing we know for sure. Try to forget about everything else. Where would the killer have to be standing to strike our victim from the front? The killer had to be standing, well, here! You get points for flair, but that's about all you get. Thought I was onto something there, too. I hardly need to point out that standing there would be impossible. The victim is facing a solid cupboard. How, or are you claiming the killer climbed the cupboard and hit him from above? Ha! It's simple logic, really. If this was the only place the killer could have been standing, then that means that at the very moment of the crime... Wait, I know! At the moment of the crime, the cupboard wasn't there! What's this now? I mean, that's the only explanation, right, Mr. Gavin? Your Honor, I have a suggestion for the defense. We should arrange to examine the cupboard in the hideout immediately. Bailiff, send a team to the crime scene immediately. Have them try to move the cupboard. Your Honor. What? There's one more thing your men should look for. Please give this the bailiff. Yes, I see. You do belong in the courtroom after all, Mr. Wright. I do my best. But let's forge ahead here while we wait. Look at the diagram once again. It's been changed. If the killer was standing here at the time of the crime, then this cupboard wasn't here. Which means... Apollo, try moving the cupboard. Which means that the window was covered. Oh! Thank you. As you can see, the cupboard was the problem. At the time of the murder, it has to have been as shown here. Now everything is in place to reconstruct the moment of the crime. Oh my! What's this? What is it now? Look at the diagram of the crime scene once more. It appears we found yet another contradiction. What I believe to be the final contradiction, in fact. Huh? Oh, dang! Notice something, Apollo? Our line of deduction is rapidly approaching its logical conclusion. Now then, Mr. Justice, please point to the new contradicting indicator. Is it the victim, the killer, the witness, the second witness? Which indicator in this diagram contradicts what we know about the crime?
Take that! Take that!
About this cupboard, are we all okay with assuming it was moved? Sure, why not? Well, if it was, something really doesn't fit. The cupboard would completely cover up the window to the stairs. Ah! That's right. Someone standing outside wouldn't be able to see in. Someone like Mr. Gavin. What did you say? Oh, is the coolest defense in the West losing his cool? Don't expect me to play along with your little game, right? It's only a game until someone gets killed, Mr. Gavin. And someone was, while the window to that room was blocked by a cupboard. So, Mr. Gavin, perhaps you'd like to explain to the court, exactly where did you witness the crime scene from? Excuse me, Your Honor. Order! This is a court of law and I will have order. We just now received word from our investigative team at the Borscht Bowl Club. They've examined the cupboard in the hideout, Your Honor. Oh? And what did they find? Well, Your Honor, it turns out there is a secret passage behind it. What? Ah, yes, I believe I mentioned something of the sort before. This is one of the tricks to the room many of our regulars know about. I do remember him saying something about that now that he mentions it. A secret passage is a handy thing to have when you're engaged in illegal goings-on. Never know when you might need to duck away from the eyes of the law. So the room has a secret passage. Where does it go? The other side connects to the restaurant above. The underworld bosses could get away from the cops and enjoy a cold bowl of borscht, no doubt. Just like our killer. You see where our line of simple deductive reasoning has led us, Apollo? I see, but I don't believe it. That girl wasn't kidding when she said I needed this trump card for the last hand. At the time of the murder, the window was blocked and the victim's hat was only off his head for the few minutes between Mr. Smith's murder and Mr. West's return from calling the cops. In other words, the only place anyone could have seen the victim's bald head was from inside the hideout. Well, Mr. Gavin? Come on, say something! Dare I ask what really happened that night? Actually, I think we can probably figure it out ourselves at this point. That night, for whatever reason, our killer had a date with Mr. Smith. A date with destiny. There, he crouched hidden in the secret passageway behind the cupboard, holding his breath, waiting for just the right moment. Then the chance came, and he took it. Oh! Why did you do that? Wait here, I'll get help. Miss Olga O'Reilly was out cold, struck by Mr. Smith. But his time was soon to come. Mr. Wright went upstairs to call the cops, leaving Mr. Shady Smith alone in the hideout with the unconscious dealer. Then our killer stepped out from the secret passage into the hideout. The victim must have heard the cupboard sliding aside. He wheeled his chair around to look and... After the deed was done, the criminal must have seen the blood on the card. He would have, of course, realized the need to destroy the evidence. That single spot of blood told the whole story of the crime. Too bad for him he didn't linger any longer in the hideout that night. If he had, he might have noticed the cards on the floor. And the fact that they were all red! Ugh! Well, it seems this trial has taken yet another turn. I'm truly, truly sorry I had to see this day come, Mr. Gavin.
Mr. Gavin?
Mr. Payne!
Yeah? Yes, Your Honor?
The prosecution will continue its investigation. Why is the killer the hottest guy in the room? I know, right? He's got such beautiful hair. And even when he's really upset, he's unflappable. The prosecution will continue its investigation. As for Mr. Wright, the defendant, he is hereby cleared of all suspicion. Quack! Believe me when I say that I don't believe this is happening, Mr. Gavin. But I'm afraid circumstances call for me to issue a warrant for your arrest immediately.
Objection! Objection!
Oh, no need to apologize. I rather enjoyed myself. It's not every day you get to witness a legendary attorney's dirty tactics firsthand. Your point, Mr. Gavin? Frankly, Your Honor, I'm shocked that a person of your caliber would be taken in by such a low-grade parlor trick. Excuse me! The defendant is cleared of all suspicion. This is hardly the time for your jokes, Your Honor. Mr. Wright hasn't proven anyone's guilt or innocence here. What he has done is used illegal evidence to put the blame on someone else. And not just anyone else, but me, his own defense attorney. Illegal evidence? Let me ask you, Mr. Gavin, is there still any reason at present to suspect me of wrongdoing? Of course, this bottle, for instance. The bottle of grape juice Mr. Wright was drinking. How do you intend to explain what away the fingerprints on the murder weapon? And not just any fingerprints. Am I right, Mr. Payne?
Actually, yes! The fingerprints on the bottle were, upside down.
I seem to recall this being an issue earlier. The courts and this case demand an explanation. I can think of only one reason why one would hold a bottle upside down. And that is to hit someone with the bottom of the bottle. Well, Your Honor? I see how the caught fish squirms to the last. Well, Apollo?
Yes?
Your boss seems awfully concerned about this bottle still. But I'm sure you can come up with a suitable explanation. Like that.
Yeah. Like what?
Why would anyone grab a bottle upside down other than to... Don't let him trick you into thinking his explanation is the only legitimate one.
Is there really another?
Take another look at the court record. I believe you'll find a simple answer there, in plain sight.
How about you just say the answer in plain words?
It would be hasty to deliver a verdict with unanswered questions indeed. Well, Mr. Justice?
Mr. Gavin said that the court in this case demand an explanation. Don't worry, justice won't leave until justice is done.
Perhaps the defense would care to enlighten the court? What evidence do you have to explain why the fingerprints in the bottle are upside down? I don't know. I have no clue. Place the card in it? I've already examined this. Maybe I present the bottle?
Take that! Take that!
Damn it. I have no idea how to explain it. You're thinking too hard, Apollo.
Take that! Take that!
Damn it, not again. I am guessing. Because I don't know. I'm confused.
Take that! Take that!
Our first reload.
Take that! Take that!
I'm confused.
Take that! Take that! Take that! Take that!
I'm just picking every answer until I end up at the solution.
Take that! Take that!
It's actually easier to show you than explain, Your Honor. Place that bottle on the floor next to your chair. Excuse me, on the floor? Yes, now reach down and pick it up, without getting out of your chair. Oh, I thought so, but I couldn't figure out what piece of evidence would I'm blanking on words right now. I think I'm tired. I didn't know what piece of evidence would show that he picked it up by the neck because it was next to him. Ah! See? You naturally go to pick up the bottle by its neck. With your fingers upside down! Look at this photograph taken on the night of the murder. The defendant, Mr. Wright, sat here, playing piano, bottles of grape juice on the floor to the side of his piano bench. He would have naturally picked up the bottles upside down several times. Wow, I can't believe it was that simple. Recall our dinner that evening, Kristoff. I was drinking my usual juice then, too. Basically, you used the bottle on the table to do the deed, but then you must have remembered. So you went and picked up one of the bottles from under the piano, and you switched the bottles. You took one of Mr. Wright's bottles and made it look like the murder weapon. Order! 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 What do you have to say to these charges, Mr. Gavin? Fascinating. So this is the legendary attorney's famed tactic of misdirection. Oh my god. It's going on, a little too long. But what? You claim that I switched the bottle? Where is your proof? Proof! Well, that's, as I thought, more baseless conjecture. I'm afraid your bottle of proof is quite empty. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Your Honor, when you initiated the investigation of the hideout earlier, do you recall I requested an additional investigation? Yes, I have your memo about that here. Retrieve the bottles from under the piano at the Borscht Bowl Club. And here's one of the bottles in question. What are you going to dust that for fingerprints too? I would be surprised if any were on that but his. Mr. Gavin probably wouldn't make such a novice mistake, true. The bottle won't bear a trace of anything. Say, Apollo. Yes. Why don't you go ahead and examine that bottle? But why? Just humor me. You're right. That bottle will solve this case once and for all. What? That's some bottle. Oh! Joy-Con drift. There's something inside the bottle! What's this? That card. It can't be. Recall that unpleasant woman's testimony for a moment. Miss Olga, oh really? Yes, our little swindling Devochka. That night, I planted a card like I was supposed to, and Wright lost the last hand just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him, but the planted card was gone. The trap failed. Hello! Hello! Thank you for the raid! Hello, raiders! Whoops, my streamer bot just had an exception, it failed. So, I'm Melody Wisp. I'm an asexual, aromantic, agender, trans, non-binary, neuroqueer, multiply disabled, and neurodivergent Puerto Rican variety streamer, and my voice is going. You are also having tech issues today? Okay. Streamer bot is back. How was your stream? How are you doing? You love the list? It's really convenient. I never have to remember any of my identifiers because of the list. And I am coming to the end of the tutorial for Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. It's good, my brain is fried from numbers, and my voice is fried from talking. I don't know how much longer I have, probably like 10 or 20 minutes, and then the stream is gonna end. But thank you very much for the raid, I really appreciate it. Okay, let's continue with the end of the case. The planet card was gone! The trap failed! Wait, this isn't... You're telling me that this is the planet card you disposed of? The one you mentioned in this piece of testimony? I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found a card. Yes, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of Hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed of the card before the game. Disposed? Where? There was an empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. I threw the card inside the bottle. The 5 of Hearts. This is the card. The bottles were swapped, and the only one who could have done that was the 4th person in the club that night. You, Mr. Christoph Gavin! Oh? Oh, the unflappable Mr. Gavin has been flapped for once. That is all. That was unreasonably hot of him. That's really funny. Is this your idea of revenge, Phoenix Wright? Revenge! Revenge for the events that took away your attorney's badge 7 years ago. My past is like my logic, straight and true. I don't believe you are straight, Mr. Wright. I would never say that, personally, as a queer person. I would never say that my past is straight and true. Nothing's changed. All I did was point the finger of justice in the proper direction. I may not be straight, but my logic is. Ayy! Fine. I'm glad we can have this little tete-a-tete, right? This is insane! What about me? Don't I get to prosecute anyone? Don't I get to be a dirtbag? In this situation? I am physically incapable of uttering the phrase, keep it straight without making a bit of it. Absolutely! Also, hello! Thank you for stopping by. I believe this time we finally come to the end of our trial. Thank God! I need to rest my voice after this. I did not anticipate that it would be like almost exclusively men talking. Even though this is Phoenix Wright, and that's usually how it is. Oh, we need another woman to come in. At least 2 of them, so that I have some variety in my voices. Chartreuse suit. True. Mr. Payne, do you have a report for us on Christoph Gavin? This game is completely talking, that's why I only played 1 case. Yeah. I just need some diversity. Because I don't have the sort of range where I can do like really deep voices.
He submitted everything. We're processing his arrest now.
I see. Still, one has to wonder why he would do such a thing. He didn't even have a connection to the victim, did he?
Not that we know that. None that we know of.
Mr. Wright, have you anything to add? I'm afraid I can't shed any more light on the matter. About this victim, Mr. Shady Smith. His occupation was listed as traveler. An odd profession to be sure, and that's all we know about him.
I'll arrange a follow-up investigation, Your Honor.
Good. Mr. Wright? Yes? 7 years, and you still haven't lost your touch. Christoph Gavin was a man with much significance for me, both as a friend and a lawyer. He was extremely talented, to be sure. I needed 2 things before I could confront him. The first was a place where no injustice will be tolerated, this courtroom. The second was a man who would tolerate no injustice. In other words, a defense attorney. You, Apollo.
Me?
This is a dark time for our legal system. A twisting of justice brought on by our very own initial trial system. We have to set it right.
Mr. Wright!
Our work lies ahead of us, and I, for one, am looking forward to it. Well, this seems like a good time to announce a verdict. This court finds the defendant, Mr. Phoenix Wright, not guilty! Woo! Court is adjourned! Thanks, Apollo. You came through just like I thought you would.
I'm pretty sure I didn't do a thing in there. It was you who cornered Mr. Gav, the killer.
I couldn't have done it by myself. You sensed it too today, didn't you? Your ability.
Ability?
Yes, a sensitivity I lack. You'll come to understand it soon enough.
Wait, I wonder if he means... I have one question for the witness then. You say you saw the moment the defendant hit the victim. Is this true?
Of course it's true.
What's this weird vibe I'm getting? What was that, Mr. Wright?
You'll have to find the answer to that question yourself.
The answer? Right. Today was full of questions without answers. Most of them about Mr. Gavin.
What possible reason could he have had to commit murder? Perhaps you'll learn that in the days to come.
Huh? Wait, you don't know, do you?
This locket is the key.
Huh? Oh, that reminds me. I met the girl whose picture is in your locket. This cute girl, she is so adorable. I just want to pinch those little cheekies. Your daughter, right?
That's right. She's my daughter. You know, you were right about this locket. I took this off his neck the night he died. But it looks like our dear Russian scam artist saw me. So the truth is, this locket really did belong to him.
Wait, but that's perjury! You testified! You said that locket was yours!
I said no such thing, actually.
Huh?
I merely said that it was a locket with my daughter's picture inside. A subtle distinction, but a distinction nonetheless. And it's the truth.
Wait, but then, why? Why was the victim wearing a locket with a picture of your daughter inside it?
Sometimes the straightest path to the truth is the best one. Give it time. You're still just getting started with your career. Lawyers and the tricky words.
Speaking of which, I may be out of a job. I work for Gavin Law Offices after all. I still can't believe I just saw Mr. Gavin get led away in handcuffs.
Apollo.
Yes?
How about coming to work for me? Just waiting until you find out who the victim really is. Hashtag spoilers. I appreciate that.
You mean at the Wright and Coat Law Offices? I mean, there's not a single attorney in my generation that doesn't know it.
I can't imagine that to be true, but...
Wait, but didn't you... You're not a...
Oh, I turned in my badge, yes. I'm not an attorney anymore. I like teasing but not saying. Yeah, it's fun.
That incident 7 years ago. That legendary trial. And at the middle of it all was one man. Phoenix Wright. The case reached a sad conclusion and he left law for good.
Whoa, what is that?
Suddenly Matt gifted 5 subscriptions. Suddenly Matt.
Oh my god! 5 subscriptions! Thank you so much! That's so many.
Twitch gifted 3 subscriptions to the community.
Twitch?
Subscriptions to the community.
Twitch did what? Whoa!
We reached our subs goal of 5. We reached our subs goal of...
Oh my god! Thank you so much! That's awesome!
Hype train started.
A hype train? That's never happened to me before! Oh my god, this is such a special moment! Thank you so much!
Yeah, this is really epic.
Thank you so much, Matt, for gifting those subs and for starting my very first hype train. That's really awesome.
But I'm too broke to add to it. Yeah, me too. I have no cash. I don't even know how to react, honestly. I've seen other people react to like getting large amounts of gift subs, and this is a large amount to me. And they're always so overwhelmed with emotion. And I always thought, how would I react if that was happened to me? And I have to admit, like, I don't know how to react either. It's just really cool. And it was really sweet. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get back to finishing the game. And then I'm going to rest my voice, and then if I'm feeling up to it, I'll be playing Alan Wake Remastered tomorrow. When the practice you put into reacting doesn't work out. Yeah. Thinking about it, and it's just really cool. Thank you.
Have you ever thought about coming back to the courts?
I'm not qualified to stand in a court of law, I'm afraid. Didn't you notice in today's trial? There was a single piece of forged evidence.
Forged evidence? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about evidence that shouldn't have existed. A naughty magician's trick.
One piece of evidence struck me as odd, it's true. It just seemed, well, too perfect. I'll bet this was the forged evidence.
Take that! Take that!
You mean this, don't you? I got this from your daughter, Mr. Wright.
Yes, that card couldn't have been found at the crime scene. Why? Because the killer took it with him when he left, leaving the wrong card in its place, luckily for us. Oh, that's why he reacted like that. The court can't accept this evidence, it's a fraud! A fraud? How can you be so sure? I would think the only person who could claim it was a fraud would be the one who took the real card from the crime scene, the real killer. My verdict was already handed down 7 years ago.
Then, you really...
Yes, I forged this card. One look at the crime scene should have told you it wasn't real. They really did. They really got me. This case has been so interesting. I got tricked by photos. I believed a witness for a rather long time, and my belief really did trick me into not seeing what was right in front of me. And it's happening again. This is a really interesting case. And this makes me really excited for the rest of the game. Because if the tutorial is like this, then the rest of the cases, they must be stacked. One look at the crime scene should have told you it wasn't real. But you can't do something like that and call yourself an attorney? Who's calling themselves an attorney, Apollo?
So it's true. The rumor is true. 7 years ago.
Very stacked, like that deck of poker cards. Yeah. None of them matters anymore now, does it? I punched... You punched him. It's your story from here on out, Apollo. Perhaps I can help you turn the next page. My office's address. Drop in if you like.
Mr. Wright!
Oh, about your uppercut? Try yelling, "Take that!" next time. I find I packed a little more punch. And Apollo, thanks for today. I had a good time.
You looked at me with such kind eyes. And with that, Mr. Wright walked out the door. And that's how my first trial ended. A lot of mysteries went unsolved. And at the time, I had no idea they were all related. Every mystery that day, connected by a single thread of logic. I'd find that out soon enough. My name is Apollo Justice, attorney at law, and this is how my story begins.
I can't believe the tutorial was like 3 hours long. Okay. Now, it's time to end the stream. It took me 105 hours for all 3 games. Yeah, when I put this game on my game survey poll, I did note that it was like 100 hours, and I didn't realize what that meant. This is gonna be fun. Okay. Let's do a raid. The owners of the games are on a huge sale right now. Yep. Everyone should go get the games. They're really fun. Okay, who am I gonna raid? The Space Jace is currently playing The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages.
Okay, bye-bye, everyone. See y'all maybe tomorrow.